Okay, I'd like to call the August 26th to 2026 Board of Education meeting to order at 7:09 p.m. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay. I don't think we have any acknowledgements tonight, right, Dr. Willett? Any additions to the agenda? Seeing none. I will accept a motion to approve the August 12th, 2026 minutes. So moved.
Second.
You can give a second to Brian or Joelle.
No,
Okay.
JP.
Oh, JP, sorry.
I will say.
Any discussion? No? Brian?
Aye.
Dan? Aye.
Aye.
Elaine? Abstain. Joelle?
Aye.
Mackenzie?
Aye.
That passes. Next, we'll go to public participation. The members of the Tolland Board of Education welcome members of the public to share their thoughts and ideas at this time. When appropriate to do so, members of the board and the administration may respond to comments during points of information. However, in consideration of those in attendance and in an effort to proceed in a timely manner, follow-up discussion may need to take place outside of the meeting setting. Okay, timer's up. Would anyone like to speak at this time?
Sure. Hi, Mary Rose DeBerrick, 37 Ryan Road. I am currently the vice president of the Tolland High School Booster Club. And the president, secretary, and treasurer. We all had seniors this past year. So the treasurer will be staying on, but we are hoping folks that still have students at the high school to join the Booster Club. They can reach out to any one of us. Our information is on the TollandBoosters.com website. That's number one. Number two, Eagle Scramble is coming up September 20th. Looking for players and sponsors. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, I'm going to close that at this time. Okay, now that brings us to correspondence.
We had some correspondence regarding the second grade class sizes, so overall class sizes. We also had some correspondence about a student looking at transition to the homeschooling and support from the public schools for that.
Okay, thank you. Points of information. Would anyone at the board on the board like to speak at this time? What?
First of all, I'd like to thank you for all that you and Joe and your family have done for boosters. I definitely think that maybe we can put in some sort of an announcement in the superintendent bulletin or something that says that we're looking for some new lower grade student parents coming into the high school to take over the reins. They've done a fantastic job. I know I have some ideas of names. I'll try to throw them out there.
I think they're already starting their process. I've got a message or two.
So it's great. But I definitely think that a lot of times, there's the people that continue to volunteer. And as we saw with our folks with baseball, Tolland baseball, we had families that did a phenomenal job. Their players throughout the league, and now it's under new leadership over the last couple of years, and it just starts a new regime. So, but thank you, especially I know you and Joe put a lot of work into it, and the rest of your team. I know things doing the rest of the team there. So I do definitely appreciate what you do for the students and the staff and the kiddos of, especially the project graduation, which is a big one. So thank you very much.
Do you know if the high school has put it into like a help wanted and
Not yet that I'm aware of.
visual back?
Yeah, well, not sorry if I speak, but we're going to be putting something out.
Okay, great. Okay, anybody else for points of information? No. We have student representatives report. Angela, I don't know if you have anything. Do you want to say anything?
I have a couple of things from my friends at Linkville.
Okay.
So last week, Thursday and Friday, Link Crew members, which are juniors and seniors, completed 10 hours of training for Link Crew with team building activities and collaborative work. And then this past Monday, they took the freshmen in for freshman orientation, gave them a tour of the school, and tried to foster like a collaborative environment, make high school seem a little less scary. And they're going to be working throughout the year with the freshman class in their Eagle blocks.
It's great. And don't they, the day before school too, don't the freshmen go in for half a day?
No, but the Link Crew members, they'll all be wearing like their shirts on the first day. So if any of the freshmen need help, they know where to go.
That's great. They're so helpful. They come to parents' nights too and tell us where the rooms are, because that high school does feel like a maze. You don't know it.
They started at the middle school this year. My son did that on Monday with the 8th graders, did that for the 6th graders. They
Great.
started, they were there all day on Monday.
That's great.
Yeah.
And I know, and the 5th graders visit the middle school too before they start middle school, right?
Yeah,
So I think,
Yeah.
yeah,
At the end of
great transition.
yeah.
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 but this is, they're talking about Link Crew and Web.
Oh,
Yeah.
like the fall.
This is
Yeah.
actually
Great.
a specialized thing.
That's
Yeah, like the person that was with my son, they'll check in with them, throughout once a month throughout the year or
That's great.
something, and make sure they're transitioning and need any help or
Yeah.
whatever.
And actually, I saw the one at the high school. Kim Marinan and Jamie DeGuire did that, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
In fact, I have pictures if y'all want to see it. It was funny, and bubbles, lots of bubbles. Bubbles are the thing now. This is-
better bubbles than like silly string.
Little bubble machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. The kids. They did
Thank
great.
you. Okay, thanks, Angela. Actually, that was Angela. Committee and liaison reports. So I believe you guys just had a curriculum meeting.
Yes, we just had one. That's why I talked about it with Mike, because Ellen and I were talking it up. So we visited today. I asked Dr. Willett during our meeting prior to, and actually we've been postponing it because of everything that's going on. We actually discussed the last year's Cross the Line program that they did at the 5th grade. So some good information, I know there was some contention from some of the community who weren't approving of some of the questions that they thought were asked. But we're moving forward. They're not going to do the same program this year. They're going to do something similar because it's not a want, it's a requirement. So Dr. Willard and his team at TIS are working together to try to figure something out to, see what they can do with something similar to that. Of course, that's not the only thing that they do. There's something that goes on throughout the year, different programs to make sure that we're adhering to the actual guidelines from the state. But that actual one, as of right now, is not going to be done, something similar to. So as soon as we get more information or if we get more feedback on it, or Dr. Wood. And if the board feels they want to hear about what was actually said, because I know it was brought up a couple of months back that they didn't approve of some of the questions that were asked. That's open for discussion if we want to put it on an agenda and discuss it. So.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
We haven't had an FFC yet, so I got back in September. And there was just a policy. I don't know. Do you want to say anything about?
Mackenzie.
Mackenzie, could you update us? You had a policy meeting, right? Not to put you on the spot.
There was one this morning and I couldn't make it.
Okay. All right.
Sorry.
So you apologize for time. And then I know negotiations, we are still in negotiations with the teachers and the parents. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And communication. Did you have communication?
Yeah, we had one last week. We went over the phone systems that are used throughout the school to communicate with kind of the security system and enter all that and or the walkie-talkies and just the via system and how the phones in the rooms communicate with certain people and different situations and whatnot. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Just for general use too, not necessarily emergency, but yeah, emergency was part of the code.
Okay.
So,
That sounds interesting.
yeah, it was.
Good.
It was.
So do you actually want to hear about policy too?
Oh, yeah.
So the big one we talked about was
Get out of the giveaways, that's the lead.
Well, yeah, when I dropped connection, they started giving away my vehicle. Yeah, so, and all the action items, I believe I got at the same time. Yeah, it's a tough crowd, but, we, at long last are going to be, addressing social media policy.
Great.
So that was one big win. What was it? Where did you start with, Dr. Well?
Well, dual enrollment.
Oh, that's right. So.
Great. And just for the record, we have, some of us have tried to tackle social media this past, it just wasn't well received by the current board that they were on. So.
I've tried the last two.
But you know what, at the same time, social media grows and grows every year as well. So we're definitely in place than the last time we talked about it. So.
And I think we have a good group to, to work through things in a fairly balanced way and hopefully come up with something. But, we'll see. We all have our opinions too, and we're all people. So, we may have some overlap with how we communicate at a higher level too, and making sure that if people do have feedback they want to provide, it's getting out to the community. So.
Great. I'm looking forward to seeing that policy, Mr. Regisberg. Okay, so moving on to the chairperson's report. I just want to say welcome back to our staff. I know all of our staff is in as of yesterday. They had convocation yesterday, right? Although, I know we have 12-month employees and our guidance counselors are in early and whatnot, but all the teachers. And did Paris come back as well?
Some.
Some.
They can come if they want, but usually they don't come until.
Okay. So welcome back around lunchtime, and I saw a group of staff members eating outside, and it's just nice to see activity in the schools again. And I hope everybody had a great summer. I know we did, and I hope everybody's looking forward to Monday.
We did do teacher of the year.
Okay.
It's Judy Egan. And the para of the year is Louise Fontaine.
Oh my goodness!
Congratulations to them. And we announced that at convocation.
Oh,
You'll be
congratulations!
seeing them,
Well
It's
deserved.
a secret until convocation, and then we do it, and then there'll be one of the acknowledgements, Make sure.
Someone who has had children with both of those women, I am so pleased to hear that. So I can't wait to see them. That's great. Congratulations to them.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to the superintendent report.
Well, this first item is superintendent goals. So sort that. And so, as you may recall, a communication went out to see what you thought of the superintendent goals and how you'd rank them. I was running a little bit this afternoon, so I noticed we had 3 respondents. So the 3 respondents here, these were the results of the 3 respondents. So you see, I mean, it doesn't matter because you can't get to it. You talk about it here, so no big deal. But what I'm saying is, this data is based on 2. Every one of these goals got a 3 and a 2. So pretty much from mode and mean, they all got 3s and 2s. So I usually don't do, 12 or 13 goals, but in all frankness, a lot of the, what you want me to focus on is where I devote my energy, ultimately for you and for evaluation purposes. But I'm not going to suddenly drop the ball on residency, for instance. It's just where do you want me to focus my energy, right? So because these got modes and means of 3s and 2s, we might as well just look at the main doc itself rather than looking at the rating docs, because they were all rated essentially the same. So the respondents rated them all equal.
That means we must have a lot of fluctuation, because I know that I definitely rated some of
And those are modes.
I understand.
That means that mode is the most, as you know. You can, 3 people respond.
Yes.
So you and me and someone else. Okay. All right, Bill, because he said, hey, Bill.
Now, remember,
Oh.
averages, I don't do the mean, because if there's a 0 in there,
Yeah.
it's everything way off. So I do what is the most frequent response. So if it got, mode is if there were more 3s than anything else, that's your mode.
Okay.
Your median is the middle number. So 3 was the modes on everything, and 2 was the middle number on everything. So, I mean, from the point of view of data, it didn't allow us to narrow it down too much because the roads and so I'll just quickly go through the potential goal. The description gives a more disaggregation of it. And I'll not read you the whole description because you'll want to throw me out the window, but I will just try to give you a tiny short summary of that.
Okay.
So increase efficiency and effectiveness of the TAM meetings. These are Tolland administrative meeting blocks. So I have a block of meetings that are required, and it's my endeavor to make them the most efficient meetings possible so that there's no time wasted. So if these meetings, if we are not discussing, debating, making decisions, developing, or addressing some complex, emotionally intense issue, they're going to get things as a report. Anything that can be given to them information-wise, for instance, if an attendance code changes, I'm not putting that as a meeting agenda. I'm going to put it on what's called the Monday memo, and they're responsible for knowing what's on the Monday memo. It goes out. I'm expecting them to know it. The chronology file, we have a thing that all the things that have to happen at certain times, they have to know it. So I'm not going to be putting that on meeting agendas. The things that will be on meeting agendas will be things that we have to, take action and determine. It should be heard now and that type of thing. So my objective is to make them as efficient as possible to get the most done and to let them get the most done and then have them rate my meetings with an impact versus effectiveness. It's impact versus effort. Impact versus effort rating. So for instance, if a meeting had maximum impact, it might have a rating of 3. And if they had to put effort 1 in it, it means they didn't have to put a ton of effort and it had a high level of impact. On the other hand, if they had to put a lot of effort in, say they rated it a 3 and the impact of it was like a 0 or a 1, that was probably not the best meeting to have because they took a lot of their time and it got nowhere. So having them rate my meetings impact versus effort is the way I was going to look at my progress or lack thereof. So when you have so many things to accomplish, and you've got so many people you're coordinating, having them be efficient is extremely important. Having meetings be efficient is extremely important. So that's what I'm trying to do. Develop administrative professional development. This is very important. And, we're able to do a lot of PD for ER days and all that, but admin don't get as much. So I wanted to focus professional development strictly on them and do it during higher order thinking. And so that, try to think of an acronym that's kind of sticky or whatever you want to call it, kind of sticks in your head. These would be meetings where there's no technology allowed. You're coming in and you're going to participate in an activity and learn a concept. Those concepts can be managerial, they can be budget, they can be any one of a variety of things, but no one is looking at your phone, no one's looking at your laptops, all that stuff is put away. You have to focus on the people in the room and the things that are happening because, right now, all of those things are distractions and these guys don't get a lot of time to focus on something meaty for them from the point of view of, say, professional development. So I wanted to try to get that introduced a couple of times a year into TAM blocks so that it's something we were going to be doing on a kind of predictable basis and that they would be getting it because right now they're really not getting it much. The next one is developing an ROI, return on investment instrument, and then a little tweak on that, an ROTI, return on time invested. I want to work, as part of my PhD, I have a background in statistics and some statistical math. What's the difference between a causal relationship and a correlation and all these, I'd like to take and leverage some of that into really creating some kind of instrument that we can use to say, okay, here's a program. How much, what's the benefit to students really from this program? I know certain things feel good, but is this actually having a real benefit? And what's the rating level of that benefit? So coming up with something fair, accurate, and usable is not easy, and I've played with it, but it's something that I've really, you wanted me to focus a lot of time on it. And then, my objective would be to create a very good one and then to utilize it and report out to you on the ROIs on various things. We have some metric to use versus, talking about it more generally. So I love my acronyms. So the TPSEI. What I would try to do here is reach out to groups we don't traditionally connect with. So for instance, I might go online and invite some of the people that I see posting certain things and ask them to be part of a group and meet with various stakeholder groups that would not be the typical stakeholder. Maybe, go and try to have some meetings with senior center, and get, I'll go to them and maybe have a series of 5 things in the senior center where it doesn't matter if we talk about, what they did in 1925, that's fine too. But the point would be to try to get a conversation on what they think, what ideas they might have, how we might, do things differently. And maybe things will come of it that we don't anticipate. But my goal here would be to get out of the box of the standard people that we're always talking to and try to reach out to, people that we don't often access or talk to. Now, some of them may tell me to, go find something else to do, but I'm going to try. And so I'll dip into social media. I'll go in places I haven't been going. I'll invite people who are, feeling feelings, see if I can get them to meet with me in groups. Compile all that information. And by the end of the year, I'd love to be able to report out to you on some things that, were out of the box that we hadn't thought of because, we're going to the groups, or at least tell you this is what I derived from those groups. It might be throw all your Prometheans out the window and go back to overhead projectors, and if that's the case, be it. Stetners, I don't know. Well, the point is, those machines. I don't know what that is.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just
I
gonna.
remember the projector.
Yeah, you put ink in it, you put a template and you'd run it through the crank.
Oh,
And it would make copies based on.
not as old as I thought.
No, it didn't require electricity, but your hands were blue. I used to do it for Mr. Wickstead, I'd help him out. Then, then he would treat me nice in class. Anyway, so try to find ways to leverage, things, stakeholders, groups that we haven't necessarily talked to. And then report out on that and see if we can do anything. Policy, that one's pretty straightforward. We know that we have the 90-day, but my goal would be to push through as many policies as possible in this year. The ones that the policy committee would be spending a lot of time on would be the ones that I wouldn't necessarily be pushing through because, and I don't mean push through, I just mean we have fast track policy process now. I would try to leverage that and get, a very large number of policies, the ones that the policy committee didn't necessarily want to spend a tremendous amount. So social media, policy committee wants to spend some time with that, but something that they may not be that, interested in having multiple meetings on. These are the ones I would try to just make sure we put as many of those through as possible. So if that's going to be one of my area of foci, I would try to get maximum updates done on all policies. Now, the thing is, all of these things are great. It's just, there's only a fixed amount of time. So where you want me to put my energy, I would focus on the ones that, if you say are more interesting to you than the others, the ones you want to evaluate, I will obviously it'll be at 80-20 or 70-30, and I'll be putting more energy into the ones you prioritize. PR and communications, if you want me to expand greatly what we're doing, I would start to seek to about in other directions. Right now, we have the bulletins, the 60 seconds with the superintendents. We have, 10 and 10s that I kind of piloted, and I'll do more if you want me to. But I would expand social media engagement dramatically. I would enter into zones we haven't done. We'd go, maybe we'd go into Instagram, we'd go into the Snapchats or whatever, TikTok. We'd start expanding out in every direction I could.
I don't know that I want you on TikTok.
I don't know that I want
We're already getting dad jokes.
Yeah. Oh no, that would be bad. The dad jokes, that would be bad. I did do a poem at convocation.
Oh, a poem.
A poem.
Still probably better.
Of my own
than
writing.
TikTok.
A little bit of Charles Schultz, a little bit of Dr. Seuss, and a little bit of Night Before Christmas in there.
No
A
resignations
little
today?
Berkeley Breathed. Anybody know Berkeley Breathed?
Yeah, Bloom County, actually.
There you go. So
No resignations
those are
today?
my influences. No resignation. Not before the poem.
After
After the poem.
but today.
Many people wanted to go. anyway, so I would focus on, I would do an expansion of PR everywhere that I could, and then use hard stats like Google Analytics to kind of give you some information about whether that, was useful or not. I'd try to expand that. We've kind of hit a threshold on that right now. So in order to go any broader, I would have to start taking chances. I don't love Instagram because of the data on young adults and how much it has impacted negatively their self-image. That's why I haven't done it. So that's why I've stayed away from those, because I didn't want to add energy to platforms that were actually hurting young people. But I would try to find a way to navigate that if you wanted me to, and expand them. Culture climate, we have a CCIT, which is a culture climate implementation task force. I've already started it. It was meant to do the things that, adapt. As you know, last year we had to update and adapt to the K policies and all that. We're in the process of creating more restorative practice trainings, and there's more restorative practice requirements now. So I would be seeking to greatly expand those. I have to do some of that work anyway, but if you wanted me to make it my focus, that means I'm putting 80% of my time into that versus more like 30, 40. So the other one is grading, assessment, and review. I think the question was, why do we need to do that? I think because if you look, K5, we made a switch to do percentages and numbers. Now, if you go with Gusky, like a researcher, one of the guys' name is Gusky and so on, he suggests that a 1-3 or 1-4, 1-3 or 1-4 rubric is the better way to go. And in the distant past, that is what we were doing. But what happened was everything started becoming 3s, and no one could tell the difference. Like, why would all the report cards were saying 3s for everybody, for everything? And parents were saying, I don't understand why we even do this, because it just says 3. I don't even know what a 3 is. What is a 3? So we went back to 65%, 70%, 80%. There is literature that says that it would be better to have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we would be analyzing that pre-K5. And then 6-12, right now, the grading practices are kind of all over the place. So it would be getting uniformity so that they're using similar processes and grading. Are you using total points? Are you using, grade point averages or, 100 scale? Are you allowing reassessments, not allowing reassessments? What is a failure? Is that a 6 to 65? Or, there's a lot of variance right now, and I want to create uniformity. And I also, the teachers are the ones that would be, and are the ones on the committees. We actually had some kids come and speak on the DGAR committee, and that was good. They came to speak to the amount of homework. And they said that there's so much that it is affecting their mental health, that they are in a place where, today's standards, they're constantly, competing with each other and competing with the impossible. And, and that by the time they actually go to bed after the school day, the job, the sport, the club, or whatever, and they need to have sport and club to be competitive against each other for the college stuff, and add on top of that multiple hours of homework, they don't get to bed till 1. And then it's really messing with them. So we had some kids come and talk to us about that, and it was pretty moving. And I think the committee heard them. And, so that's the point though. Like, so what do you do? Is homework 10% of a grade and 90% not? Or, and if you do that, are you actually doing grade inflation? For instance, grades are supposed to reflect skills and abilities. If you start adding some other effort element into it, it's no longer an accurate reflection of skill and ability. So for instance, if it's about compliance, like it's something with our homework every time, but people didn't check, look at the content of the homework to be able to use it as a diagnostic tool to help somebody know what they got right or wrong, but instead just checked that they had done it, that's compliance. So it's diluting the grade. It's not about the skill and ability, then it's about the compliance. And compliance is not skill or ability. So what is your balance? All of that. So that's why you want to have some exploration of that. And that would be kind of what we were doing there. And we are doing it, so we just, it's going to be more involved, right? We have a cumulative folder. right now, I've tried to move the district in the direction of electronic records instead of paper everywhere, and then moving paper files everywhere and big stacks of paper everywhere. We made the transition to digital cumulative files a while ago. Now they need to be organized. We're going to move them out of a Microsoft system and into the Google system, because the Google system is the one we're most often using. And I'm looking to create and enhance systemic processes with these electronic forms. And it's important because we are actually required to hold on to records for quite a long time. There are standards. Some of these records you only have to hold on to for a year or 3 years. Some are 7 years and some are 20 years. So you have to have a process for doing that, a process for backing up, a process for storage. And it's been high time that it get updated, and that's what I've been trying to do. But if I can focus more of my energy on it, I can move that forward more quickly. I've tried to make incremental change, but I would be able to move them, if that's one of the 4 priorities, for instance, you want me to focus on, then I can feel better putting more energy into that. Safety and security initiative. I was thinking of working with some people and having them walk through with me. I mean, over the years, and you've seen from the process that I have a number of FEMA certifications and things that I've gotten. So I'm trying to expand my own knowledge, but this would be pairing myself up with an expert in security, and then making that person sort of my mentor, not, security mentor, so to speak. That person would walk through the buildings with me and give me input on, how I'm doing things and improve, to help me take us to the next step for security as a building. You may have recalled that one of the things I asked is if you wanted a security audit, that the security audit was going to cost something like tens of thousands of dollars. This is a scaled down version of a security audit. The person would be auditing and work like me. They come in and they talk to me about, we walk through the buildings. I tell them about our structures, our bolt resistant glass structures, and all these other things that we have and do and all that. And they'd say, okay, well, have you thought about X? Have you thought about Y? You have a policy on Bob's. I see that this is, have you thought about Z? And it would help me then go, no, actually, I haven't thought about that. Let me go back, figure that out. So instead of doing a $50,000 security audit, I would make it more just, I would pay somebody $1,400, $2,000 to work with me. And then that's a scaled down version of the bigger initiative. And that's where I accidentally copy pasted the cumulative thing over. But the goal would be to then report out to you in some kind of executive session, because of security, the things that, I had learned and changed over the span of the year. So this would be more like a report out. It would be an end of year report. So security insights and advancements, roughly. And then based on things that were coming in a little bit, maybe some verbal conversations with people, the one that came was like open choice, expand open choice. The thing about open choice is I brought open choice to the district years ago, and I had to do some initial work to get everybody on page. And we brought it, open choice in, and we had a certain number of seats that we were using per year. And that was how open choice made its way in. Then came Birch Grove's crumbling foundation, and they were living in portables, which hurt us because not many people want to send their kid on a 20-30 minute bus ride to be going to school in a trailer. So that was not great for 2 or 3 years. And then coming out of that, we had our seat structures and all that, and we've gotten a good number. In fact, as we've reported out, we have a great flourishing program. We've gotten $500,000 from it over a span of 4 or 5 years, helped the district, also helped in a million ways in education. There's been some thought, saying set a goal to expand it. The problem is I can't say I can grow that by 30 seats, because it's about, we're competing with all the other ESCOs, like all the other districts that do this. So the ones that come here, I'll go to the open choice promotion things, and I did that at the Harvard Library last year and so on. But I can't increase that, like, by 20 just because I'm going to these, right? So what we can do is expand the number of grades that you have for seats. The thing about that is what we've been doing is we have been having most of the enrollments come through elementary school because the kids grow up together. And when they come together and grow up together, there is a better chance they get to know each other and they learn from each other. And if something insensitive is said, it's pointed out and they grow together with it. If you drop a 10th grader in who has spent most of the time in Buckley High School and now is exposed to Tolland, and somebody said something that they didn't grow up together, they don't know each other, there wasn't any shared history. There's tension that can come from that. Tension can result from ignorance. It can also result from just other things. And so, and when there's a kid dropped in 10th grade, they also, if they haven't grown up here, they don't have other people around them who will also say, dude, that wasn't right. Or, so de-escalation options are much less. So if you're not doing that in a responsible way, you're actually creating not such a great environment for the kids that are coming and, opening up opportunity for lots of problems. So, problems in that, the district needs to responsibly manage how it does it. So I point all of that out because I can expand the programming and do all kinds of things, but I can't make a goal that says I will increase your open choice numbers by 25 kids, or by even 10. I can tell you that it will grow over time, but I can't make a goal that it's going to grow by 10 kids in a year. It may, but I can't. And it also it might motivate the wrong thing. If I were to say, okay, I know how to make it grow 10 in a year, I'm going to open it through grade 11. Great. My numbers will go way up because, factor of opening grades, people are going to come into those grades because those were closed before. So I can make it look bigger, but then something, goes the wrong way because we didn't do it carefully and because, meaning we didn't make sure we were doing the trainings along the way. That's just not the right way to get higher numbers. So what I can say is I could make a goal of expanding tuition opportunities to the greatest extent that we can. So open choice would be one tuition opportunity. I would try to find others. I did try to get a smaller school district that was looking for a high school. I tried to get them here. But this can be a difficult goal because it's not completely under my control. So I think some of you were here when we were doing that. And it was going great. And we brought families came and they went to the auditorium and they saw it. And it was high energy. And we were competing with 3 other schools. And we were really close. And then some comments were made in a board meeting. And some of the parents saw that. And I think, some of that was, and they don't have to even be from you. I'm not even saying board members, just comments. And then what came of that was, well, we'll go to the school where everybody's coming from another place, not it's those kids. And, and so they went with E.O. Smith, which actually is a regional school. They do. When you get to the E.O. Smith High School, pretty much everybody's coming from Ashenburg, Williamson, or someone else. There's not as much of those kids that. So that's the point though, like I could control things up to a point, but then, there's some variance in that. So I can put my energy into it. And that can become my 80-20 again, to use that example. And if that's the case, but I can't promise massive gains, From a long game thing, I brought open choice here. So obviously I have increased the number of seats. Can I increase it massively between now and the next? Depends. So then there's that. And then enhance and continue to build. One of the other things was learning Spanish as a goal. There's a couple goals there. One of them is I could expand my knowledge of Spanish so that when I go, I can speak, I can be a little bit more able to relate in the same language as some of the kids that would be coming. Then finally, enhance and continue to build residency. We have greatly expanded our residency operation. And you would be giving me permission to be more aggressive. Right now, when I started here, we really weren't doing much with residency. Now we do much more with residency, have higher standards, the requirements, the paperwork, the affidavits, our process. I do run investigations now. There is actually some that I'm doing as we speak. I'm convinced that there are some abuses and, that we need to address. It's like not any different than any other place in Connecticut or anywhere else. Point is, though, I would need to know whether you want me to make this like my 80-20 or you want me to back off a little bit. If you want me to go forward more with this, then I'm going to become increasingly aggressive. And that means that, there'll probably be some families that will have to not go here anymore. It's up to how aggressive you want me to be on that. So, right now we've greatly expanded the residency operations. So we know more and are able to do more than we ever have. But whether you want me to push it further is up to you. So that I thought I'd throw it on because it can get hot in the kitchen when that starts to happen, and you have to know that this is what you wanted me to do.
Okay, thanks. So I think, just to bring up to speed, we have a lot of rankings with one of three of us. So we're gonna I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but I also want to get it done. So why don't we start with this? Why don't we just start with some overall questions? And when I say questions, I'm more looking for things like understanding, of the goals. So I have some, so I'll lead off. So maybe that can say, and then after that, I'm going to ask Dr. Willett what he believes are the most important goals. Because this is his job. He's been the superintendent. I think that one way you accomplish your goals is to care very much about it and to have a lot, a want to do it and a want for our district to have it. So I think it's very important that we hear what Dr. Willett thinks would be the most important goals. And then let's go from there. Let's see, maybe a quick agree, or maybe we need to narrow it down and take another meeting. But so let's start there. Though I guess so I just wanted to the goal number one, the TAM meetings, I guess one of the things I thought of when I read this right away too is, we have gone down an administrator this year. I know that, we've moved in order to have the vice principal at Birch Grove. We took that position. We kind of restructured the way that the schools are going to do LEAP. So I'm assuming it is even more important that our administrators' time is used efficiently this year. So I figured that probably came into that as well.
Yeah, and I was doing some research about looking industries and how to improve efficiency. And my goal is to just make sure that every minute is spent, and that the people that are in the meetings are all looking at it the same way too. Like, yeah, we needed to talk about this,
Right.
because you've all been in meetings where it's like, why
I could have been in
are we doing this? And my goal is to have none of that.
Right.
So I think I've gotten to the point in my career where if I put enough energy into this, I can make that extremely efficient. And that will help everything else, because it opens up the time of people and, gets us focused on things that need to be addressed, and not just informational things. And, that I think that'll make a big difference if I can put the energy into it that I want to put into it. But if the board doesn't value it highly, then that becomes one of my 20%. It's not like I'm going to
Of course.
want inefficiency. It just means I know you don't care about that, and you're the ones that are. At the end, I report to you. So.
I guess my comment on policy is that, I feel like we're doing that anyway, in a sense. Like I see what you mean, but I think that the policy committee has already come leaps and bounds with the fast track. So I'll be interested to see if you choose that. For the culture and climate committee initiative, you said that there is a task force. When you say there's a task force, is that like a staff task force, so parents?
Yeah, I created this particular group. The purpose of the task force is to focus on something, that needs to get managed and put a ton of energy into managing it.
Mhm.
And the timeline, the state's initiatives and all of that, and, we need to do the stuff that we have to do for the state, and it's the right thing to do morally, but it's not one that has parents and all that because the state has clearly defined what we need to do. So
Something like Joel was talking about that event that we had, that's part of culture and climate, correct?
it is. It's like one lesson in an algebra year, though. You know what I mean? Like, so ways that I get the board and kind of intricately involved is I'll do instructional rounds.
Yeah.
And the foci will be social emotional learning, and then you get a deep dive on that, right?
Yeah.
But I wouldn't report on every one of 100 things because you would probably throw me out the window again because I'd be giving you, da da da. So there's ways to get like instructional rounds are a great way to get people embedded on it. But the CCIT would be like restorative practices is the focus right now. So you need to be able to show you're doing restorative practice. And there are certain reports required by the state. You need to be able to say where you're doing those and how you're doing them. But you need to do them in a way that doesn't make it impossible for you to do anything else in your day. So if there's going to be a certain kind of reporting and a certain kind of thing, you want to make sure you're doing these things thoroughly and you're doing it in a way that's best for kids. But I remember there was an initiative in New England once where I worked. And I can say this because this is so long ago, everybody around at that time would be gone. But it was that you needed to have every kid had to wear their ID. No questions. They had to do it. That turned into hundreds of behavioral referrals because, it wasn't because Wald said or threw things out the window or fought with someone or did some drugs or did not for major transgressions. Wald just didn't wear his ID that day. 100, and now if you spend 5 minutes on you pull the kid out of class, they sit there in a line of kids. You're doing that for all, now. So think about 5-10 minutes times 100 kids times 3 houses a day. Massive waste of time. The kids really didn't learn anything from it. There was tons of lost class time, right? Now that was this initiative meant to just make sure we all had but was it really the way to do that? And that's what we have to do with this. We know the operations. We have to be careful that we accomplish objective A, but not at the cost of some huge thing that, So that's what that's about. The task force is, okay, we're going to do this stuff, but how are we going to make sure we do it and not take kids out of class every 5 minutes and not destroy, their learning and not, all of that.
Okay. And then when you talked about the grading and you said that 6 to 12 was all over the place and the variance, do you mean within like our district or you mean?
No, I mean, well, and I want to be careful I don't mean that in any pejorative sense.
Yep.
I mean that, I think some things have to be decided and we have to decide what, are there reassessments or not? Are you allowing certain practices or not? Are you going to do numeric 100 base, averaging grading, or are you doing total points, or are you doing both? And, if you're going to be, are you going to have a standard about how much needs to be graded every 2-week period? You know what I'm saying? Everybody, so if a parent looks in on the system and sees the assignments, are they going to see 14 assignments for Mr. Thompson, but only 2 assignments from Mr. Willett, and we both teach social studies? I think we need some kind of standardization of, well, here's the base expectation, here's our base practices, elementary, we need to review whether numerics are the way to do it. Because 65 in elementary school doesn't mean you failed. Like, if you think about it, when a kid comes in elementary school, they don't know grade level stuff because they haven't learned grade level stuff. So are you grading them about where they're supposed to be at the end of 3rd grade? Because if you are, they're going to be failing everything at the beginning of 3rd grade, right? Yeah. And if you're sending home 60s and 50s and you might say, but that's normal because they just entered third grade and they know nothing about third grade. Or let's pick something out like first grade. Of course, they're going to get a 60 because they don't know anything yet really about the content of first grade. But the parent's going to be like,
Right.
60? Yeah. So we have to decide, is that what we want to do? So that's my point.
Okay.
I don't mean that we're all over the place like this is terrible. I mean, I think that obviously Tolland performs really highly. I just want there to be standardization and clarity on practices.
Okay. For the security, I don't know, I remember there was a time when we had like a parent task force, or I don't know if it was a task force, but it was a parent group. Do we still do that, or have we not done that? In a
Well,
while?
I don't know. We'd have to talk about what you're talking about per se. Like for
Hard for me to remember, but
security,
I think it was a.
security
been
is
like
where's our
understanding.
ballistic glass and
Yeah.
what's our, we don't do any public stuff
Yeah.
with maps and security structures and all of that. But I have done like community forums and
Feedback
groups
groups, yeah.
where I will talk
Like
about
that.
things in general terms and all that.
Yeah.
So this security initiative though would be more,
High level.
as I would say, like high level. It,
I was just
because
curious
we
if
don't
we
want
still
to.
had that as well, but
Yeah, I mean, what we're going to do is there'll be on those new CCIT, the culture committees, there'll be parents on the culture climate committees.
okay.
That's one thing is going to be happening in this coming year that would be part of this initiative is parents will be on the culture climate committee, students will be on the culture climate for the buildings. Security, this was instead of I'm just going to whatever it was, $50,000 security audit, I would instead work directly with a person, security experts, and have them critique things more directly to me, and then I would report out on initiatives, which will be much cheaper for you than having an all-out big report that costs $50,000. So that's what that's about is me. And now again, this is about you kind of telling me where you want me to spend the majority of my time. Does that mean if I do this, I'm going to decide that forget it, anyone can move in from anywhere and I won't track it, won't have any resident? That's not. I mean, I'll do my due diligence in these, but if my board is telling me, we really want 80% of your time on this, then I will divert energy, to those, not do the other stuff. But
Okay.
for instance, security doesn't become meaningless. The other thing is, one of the things I'd probably focus on to try to bring that got deleted somehow, but one of the other things I would be trying to achieve is I'm trying to forget what the offsite backups for if we have a problem. What right now, like most places. When I was the principal, or when I first started, or a year or two into when I started, we had a problem at one of the schools. So we had a backup, and we moved all the kids from the high school into the middle school auditorium. We have these kinds of redundancy plans where we can move kids from one location to another within town. One of the things that I want to work on is a plan for if a chlorine truck turned over on 84. And it sits between all four of our buildings, and we have univentilators and hundreds of kids in there, and those univentilators are sucking in outside air. We'd shut down univentilators and look to move the kids outside of the town, maybe. So where would we go? Because if you're going to move 2,000 kids outside of Tolland, where are you going? And I would be working on that kind of plan.
Okay.
And that's a little harder to pull off than your average. Let's move them from one building to the other or whatever. And then reuniting families, solid, might have some expenditures, but if we had to reunite families offsite, how would we do that? So what we probably would need is rolling units we'd have laptops and equipment where we could set up anywhere and, have kids staged, and then we would have reunification in a place that's not one of our buildings. So that would mean we'd have to deploy people, resources, and machinery and computers somewhere so that, what is your name? Your name is, the last name is Willett. Where is Walter Willett right now? Walter Willett and all the other, W's are staged in room 14 of whatever offsite facility we're at. go get Walter so we can reunify him with his family. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Whereas if it happens in a building, we're ready for that. I mean, we can move kids between buildings and all that, but the offsite stuff, I would put energy into offsite reunification.
And then for the open choice, like of course I understand that we want to bring tuition in, and I agree with you that there's a bit of it outside our control. It's not like we can just decide and say we're going to bring 100 kids in. The other thing is that what I think that people don't realize is, and I think you kind of tried to touch on it when you said it, is that if we want to bring more kids in, we're going to need to expand opportunities for that as well. You know, I mean, like we said, we know people are looking for schools that start with a preschool, et cetera, you know, more programming in the high school, et cetera. So I just think that, I think that that's great, but I think that we need more of a roadmap of how to make ourselves more competitive with the schools that are getting the kids. Like, what is it that they're offering? What is it that we can do to offer something similar, you know? And I think that will change. I also think we did expand the grades this year. I'd like to see how that goes. But not to put Angela on the spot, but as a student, I was wondering how you feel about that. You know, you understand our open choice program where we bring in students from another district.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? I mean, as of right now, you know, we do a certain number of kids per grade. I think we just expanded to what, second this time?
K1, it used to just be K, now it's K1 and 2.
And for the reason that they could grow up with you guys as students and go through the class, so they didn't just inject, you know, into, you know, sophomore year or seventh grade or something, and they could build history, build friendships, build relationships. Do you have any opinion on that, on what you think, like if you think it's good for kids, not good for kids, good for Tolland students?
I'd say it's probably a good thing to start earlier. Because I know for me, like I moved to Tolland in 5th grade. So, you know, I had some time, but not a lot of time. And when I was coming in, like I obviously didn't, when I came into 5th grade on the first day, everyone else already had their like friend groups and stuff. But I didn't really have that at that moment. And I know like for my siblings, like they've obviously they're younger than me, so they spent more time growing up in Holland, and I think that's helped a lot with like keeping those lasting friendships, and like no matter what classroom they're in, they're always gonna have someone there.
Thank you. All right, so that was all I had for questions. Does anybody else have some questions they want to ask Dr. Willett about these goals?
Quick one.
Go ahead.
When it comes to goal 10, updating the district processing of student information and whatnot, how long do we have to keep those things on file? How long?
Depends on which record.
Right, so,
There's quite a few, like the federal, there are guidelines about it, but not guidelines, but actually rules.
right,
So a lot of them are 7 years, some of them are longer.
Yeah.
And so paper records are much harder to store that.
so that's what I'm,
And then there's a process of destruction. You have to follow a certain process for destruction of records. So I'm trying to bring Tolland into the 21st century with this.
Yeah.
And that would be, if you're making that 80% of my time, I could probably achieve that extremely well by the time, you know, I retire somewhere here, but I can make more progress on it if I know it's a priority for you. Otherwise, I could have just left it with the paper stuff. It's just that it's not efficient. There's not enough storage, and it's a problem, you know. But we're able to. We can do a lot if you want me to do a lot.
okay.
What's that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so.
Yeah. So we can come back.
Yeah. Anybody else? Elaine?
So realistically, like, how many of these goals, you're talking like 80%, 20%, because I know you're not gonna let any of these like disappear. Obviously, these are worthwhile things. So how many goals are you looking at us wanting to say, okay, we really want you to focus on these 6 items. We really want you to focus. Do you have a
Usually, I mean, the usual answer to a question like that in most fields, like,
okay?
it depends on, you know, certain factors about like how big a particular goal is. But if you said if we, these three are what's important, as you're saying, I won't drop everything.
Right, yeah.
But if you tell me these are the three we really care about, not that you don't care about the other ones either, then, I'm gonna put more energy into the ones that you say you care about most, and then do my job on the rest. But I won't spend as much time on residency, for instance, if you want me to spend more time on, on PR. I mean, some cases, things that I'm trying to do, I won't really pursue this level.
Interesting. It's about priorities, not about.
Right.
Mhm.
And then with goal 13, just roughly, because you mentioned, that there would be legal action. So that of course comes with legal fees and stuff. Rough idea, do you think we as a district are losing enough money to pursue this legally and focus more, like to turn this into an 80% goal?
So
Or
it's
do you
a
think
really
the cost of it? Yeah, exactly.
If
That's
you have a child who, so let me be very clear up front that I think that every child deserves the opportunity to get all the resources that they need for their education.
yes.
And in the United States and in Connecticut, and that is what we are doing, no matter what district we're in. If there's a student of special education in Ellington who lives in Ellington, Ellington should serve that student of special education fully. And if there's a student of special education in Tolland, similarly, Tolland should serve them fully. But if there is a person that lives in Ellington who is sending their child to the Tolland Public Schools, who happens to be in special education, you're paying the bill that Ellington should be paying. So Ellington shouldn't pay Tolland's bill, and Tolland shouldn't pay Ellington's bill. Everybody should be in the place that they're supposed to be.
Yeah.
That kind of thing can cost you a lot of money. Yes. But in your average kid, one, two, no, especially if it's not a student of special ed. But I would go much deeper. I will go into zoning records. I will go into, rules and laws on zoning. I will aggressively go after any families that I think are, doing things that multifamilies in a single place, things like that. If I see that they're violating certain, rules, conditions, or zoning, like that's a deeper dive than normally has been happening. That takes more time. Resources like investigations, watching, that takes time. You're going to use resources and energy to have people scouting out whether someone's actually living in this place or going or being picked up and dropped off every day at that particular place, or are they being dropped off at a bus stop from another location being driven in? Where's that coming from? It's just, if you're escalating your residency procedures, you're doing a lot more surveillance, you're doing, you're a lot more aggressive use, going deeper into records. There's a lot of people that will be really unhappy with that, I don't know. I can get even into more detail, but the point is, like,
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I think, yeah.
Anything else?
No.
Okay.
So when I was looking at these goals, I looked a lot of them as I don't hate to say, well, we can get more bang for our buck when it comes to supporting our educators, our school, and providing an excellent school system, right? So, and although I'm appreciative of our guidelines, that we need to make sure that, and I appreciate your question, because that's exactly where I was heading to, right? Are we going to want our superintendent, like, it's all about prioritizing. These are all important, but it's all going to get in the prioritize it for our students. And I know that we talked a lot about, and I think the reality of it is when we're ranking these and we're looking at this, we need to look at what we as a board can impact, and what's out of the control of our superintendent, or we as a community can impact separate from being board members. So my two students have had open choice students in their classroom since day one. And they just know he or she is so-and-so from Hartford, and they've been in their class since the beginning. I think it's a phenomenal program. I don't know how much other than making it us, the community supporting our budget to make us having more electives and alternative opportunities for education, to make it make our school system more enticing versus some of our neighboring schools that have other opportunities. But I think that's longer than this year's goal. It's a 5, 10, it's probably an economic conversation for our town, right? Is kind of where I'm thinking when it comes to some of these goals. I think the meeting, the goal 1 is huge. So maybe it's line 2. I'm sorry, I'm having a problem with my mouse. So goal 1 on line 2, the Tuesday initiative block. I mean, we can get a lot of impact to our staff and to our students from something like this. And this is something that's tangible, I think, for our superintendent and for us and for our staff. But I was looking at a lot of the development of our staff and our programs. You talked about you asked about the grading and such. I think having alignment throughout the schools is important. I mean, you went over these very thoroughly, Dr. Wallace, so I'm appreciative. I just wanted people to know where I was thinking how we as a board can, 1, have realistic expectations for our superintendent, and 2, have expectations and results from student staff in our buildings. Obviously safety and security, and you mentioned Sandy Hook safety. My daughter was born right in the middle of all of that. So then you look at things in a very different capacity, right? So safety and security, if we don't have that, then how can we do anything else, right? So I just think that we really need to dissect and see what's realistic to positively impact our thriving school system. I don't know if I have a complete plan, but I think some of these are, Dr. Willis not be able to turn on a dime and make an impact on our school system like what.
Because they need to be measured.
Correct. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Dana. Phil?
Everyone knows how I feel about open choice. I have heard a number of times tonight of why we're not attractive for open choice. And I'm not gonna debate, yes, we've lost program. I'll acknowledge that. But I also want to say, and you all have heard me say it, and I'm going to say it again, that Tolland is still a very attractive school. We still have great opportunity for kids. Over half of our teachers have been here for 15 plus years, over half of them. We have stability with the majority of our teachers. And I'm not blind to the other stuff. I see that, but I'll give you an example. My wife this summer took a job in a private school as a music teacher, and we had an opportunity to move our kids at a significant discount to this private school. And we chose to stay in Tolland because we love the opportunities that we have in a public school in Tolland. We still have a lot of great things to offer. And I still think, we can push our open choice program. I think we can do more marketing. I think we can do Facebook ads. I see other schools doing it. I think we can do those things. I know there's events that we can go to. And, when I think about having measurable goals for open choice, those are the things that I think about. Are we doing everything we can to try and fill those seats that we expanded last year? Are we doing those things? I would love to see all of those seats in each grade filled, and us saying, well, do we need to look at adding a couple more seats or a couple more grades because of how successful it is? I think there's more that we can do to improve that, improve the diversity in Tolland, give our students an opportunity to experience a little bit of that and help them, grow in those areas. That was my thought when I ranked the goals and then added in seeing more for open choice. I would love that to be a goal to try and see how far we can get with it. You know, I don't know if it's realistic to say, to ding Dr. Willett if he doesn't fill every single seat that we have available in open choice, but I think it's fair to say, well, what did we do to try and do that? Are we doing those things? Are we spending 80% of the time trying to do those things, doing marketing? Am I seeing Facebook ads or Instagram ads to try and, you know, bring awareness about Tolland? Because I think we have a lot to offer. Even as we've had to reduce a number of things over the years, I still think we have a lot to offer.
I just want to say for the record, I didn't hear anyone who talked about open choice say that Tolland wasn't attractive. What I know I said was that, because I believe Tolland is attractive, and I think we have a good open choice program, and I also think we've expanded the open choice program, which I was a part of the decision making
Yep.
for with you in curriculum. I think it was a good move. I think we can continue to do that year over year. I think it's still something that we should continue to grow year over year. I think that we need to, I like the way that we've been doing it. We've been taking in the data. We've been making sure that it works for the kids that we bring in. My point was is that just like anything else, if you want to keep making something, if you want to keep attracting more people, you've got to give them more to be attracted to. And we have data that says people are choosing other schools for specific reasons. So we have to be realistic about that. And like I said, I feel like it needs to be measurable in the sense that we can't just keep saying, well, we opened up 10 more seats or we opened up 20 more seats, but we didn't offer anything new. We didn't look at what the other schools are offering where we're not meeting it. And how can we maybe do some of those things so that we are more attractive for more schools for open choice? So it was never taking the foot off the pedal. It was just about an understanding, again, in my opinion, of how do we get to our goal here without merely just saying, Dr. Willett, your goal is to get 10 more people or get 20 more people. Your goal is to better this program. Your goal is to find out why we're not getting the people that are going to U.S. Smith. That's all I meant by that.
How many marketing events have we gone to? I know you and I text message about the one back in March.
They don't offer that many. So
Okay.
what the thing is, when we talk about 80-20 stuff, you know, if this is going to be one of the 80s, for instance, it probably wouldn't be fair to evaluate on seat numbers per se. Because if we were doing strictly that, I would just advocate for, you know, I mean, like if I were doing that in a way that was meant to hit a number, but not necessarily in a way that professionally I feel like I have to, like morally, I couldn't do that. The reason is, yeah, that'd be easy. Open it up to 12, you're going to get a couple of, I mean, those numbers will grow because you open the number of doorways that can, you know, happen. So the number will grow. But as I was mentioning kind of before, but if there's no thought in how that happens, that 10th grader drops in, having never grown up with anyone. And
Well, I'm not advocating for that at all.
well, but my point is like, so if it's strictly on numbers, oh yeah, we can get the, you know, like, but so I don't think it would be a good thing to say, okay, well, that's superintendent school and we're going to rank them on the numbers, but more the 80-20, you know, the energy would go into, I would analyze social media, for instance. You can do special things with social media. You'll notice that on Facebook, you sometimes, if you've been messing around with it, it'll say, boost this. Oh, there's a price. But you can. And if you boost it, it blows it into other markets that you would not normally have access to, or the algorithm normally wouldn't give you. So 80-20 would be me looking into how to boost the algorithms, how to, you know, spend time and maybe some money expanding more dramatically PR. There'd be some time and some money in programs here that would help make the situation even more oxygen rich for people considering this. It doesn't mean we're good or bad. We're not saying we're good or bad. Your thing is, do you have what Glastonbury has? Because that's what it is. When I was in Hartford, you know, I was doing that event. You know, Newington's right there, Glastonbury's right there, and they're literally, you know, what do you got? And if we don't have preschool, they're like, well, Glastonbury does. You're in the same RSO, go there. So I have to have something. I got to be able to do
Sell it.
something. I got to be able to say something. So what would happen is I've got to figure out, I would put 80% of the energy instead of, splitting it all. That would be one of the major things. I'll be coming to report at the end of the year on all of the different ways. And it's going to be ways you're not really even thinking about right now, probably. But I have to find some way to stand at an event right next to a competitor that has preschool. And if I'm the general parent, I'm like, well, I don't need to spend it here now, if I send them here. So I have to figure that out. And that's why the events themselves aren't an indicator per se, because I can stand there with 5 districts around me who offer things and there'll be other ones that don't do the same thing. But that's what I have to figure out. Now, I think I can, but if you want me to make 80% of the time, at the end of the year, I'd report out to you on how I expanded that marketing effort, what other things we did. Events, yeah, I can do events. You can throw an event in Tolland for Tolland parents on a Tolland subject and get 5 people, So it's a lot of things. But you're asking me to put, the majority of my energy into it if you're making it a goal. And as you know, I brought open choice to the district, so I do care about it. I want to see it flourish, but I need to know from you where you want 80% of that energy to go, which is the purpose of this. So if that's there, then you'll see me providing a lot of data, a lot of reports, a lot of other things there.
I think we're straying a bit from, my goal for just this conversation was really just questions, and I strayed as well. So I just I'll give you a chance. I think we all have feelings on certain things, but let's get the questions done first. I kind of wanted to be done with this piece by 8:30. It's our first real item on the agenda. So is there any other questions on the goals as they're written? Anything that anyone else needs clarification on? Let me just, Mackenzie, you haven't gone yet. Do you have anything?
I don't have any questions, John. Thank you.
JP, you haven't.
No, never.
Okay, Jake. go
In
ahead.
that case, the merged, I think you just mentioned something about possibly being more, maybe not. I might be losing my mind. Goal 4 and goal 7. Is there opportunity to merge those in a sense, in your opinion? The idea of, you going into certain markets that you're not used to dipping into, whether it's social media or different places, and you're finding people who, disagree with your decision making or disagree with what Tolland Public Schools does. That freaks me out a little bit in terms of safety and security for you. But number seven, we're still being more transparent. I guess from the superintendent perspective, are still being more transparent based on communication you're having with those audiences, right? So is there a way to merge 4 and 7 without putting yourself in a particularly questionable spot in terms of safety? Understand my question?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I'm deeply appreciative that you're concerned about my safety, which I think is very kind of you. But what I would say is, if you guys want me to merge something, I will. I see those as distinctly separate.
Yeah.
One of those is me expanding the rah stuff. And the other one is pulling in people that would normally not be willing to come to the table and having conversations with them.
Gotcha.
And I think both are hard in their own way. I think the one of the PR thing, I need to find a way of doing this that doesn't give power to the organizations that are hurting their people and are clearly doing that, but which is a lot of social media right now. So that would be the challenge there. The challenge on the other thing is, I think you can think of the people I'm thinking of. And I would try to.
You should provide a list.
I would try to get them to the table.
Yeah.
I would literally go out there on Facebook. I'd put myself out there and my name out there. And every time I saw, Willits a punk, hey, whatever. I say, hi.
Those are the nice ones.
Nice to see you tonight. Would you like to join me? Let's get together and talk about your thoughts about what might be different.
Yeah.
And then really try to operationalize it. So the point would be to try to get people to the table that just traditionally aren't.
I get 100 seconds.
Are you all set though? Like but I understand where you were going with this.
Yeah.
I think like, well, maybe we should give those people more of the rah, rah, rah.
Yeah.
If they're willing to listen. But that made a lot.
More to be discussed on.
Yeah, I understand. Go ahead, Ryan.
Is this, they're talking about merging, is it possible, because both of these, I believe, pertain to your Tuesday administrative block, merging the 1 and 2 together? 1 for efficiencies and 2 to add in this no technology allowed focus discussion?
Yeah, the thing about 2 is this takes a lot of planning. They both do, but 2 is, like I was saying to
You
the,
said you were, sorry to interrupt, but you said you were only gonna do that once or twice a year.
well, I was thinking more 5 times.
Oh, I was gonna add that, but I wrote down 1 or
I
2
mean, the
years.
thing about it is, like 1 year,
You can't do that.
I
every
was
2
showing
years.
the curriculum committee, I created this is not the same, but to give you an idea of the workload. I would put as much energy into developing that as I did developing the skills for adolescence course that I taught for a semester with like 90 kids and AB rotation 2 periods a day for whatever. And I did that to get a grant to have someone else take it on. But I created and wrote an entire skills for adolescence curriculum, including lessons, unit plans, and everything. This would be something where I put that much energy into developing PD.
Oh, wow.
That takes a lot of time. So those 2 things aren't the same. One is like creating absolute efficiency in the meetings and making sure, certain things are, but the other one is completely designing units, lessons, and everything else for PD and doing it well. So those are 2 just different time intensive things.
Okay.
So one quick question on, sorry.
But it would fit there though. That's where the hot would go. It would go in, there'd be so much efficiency in meetings.
Yeah.
The hots could happen during that time.
The other thing I know is discussed multiple times, but just for clarification on the grading, potential goal of updating the grading for the high school, I'm assuming first that, just from what I heard, is it clear to say that the faculty is kind of has a window of sway where they're creating their own percentages based upon their own sort of feelings and how the grading should work, or do we not have a set standard currently?
I think that I wouldn't be saying one school per se. The kinds of grades that you will do typically from 6-12, 5-12 will be different than the kinds of grades you do pre-K 5 to 4 or 5, right?
No, what I'm asking is about high school specifically now, because you said you'd like to do that one first.
Well, I would be breaking these 2 groups. I would be working with the entire group, which I kind of already am, but I would actually break these groups into 2 task forcey type groups. One is 6-12 focused and the other is pre-K 5 focused. One is going to be more looking at Common Core, ratings of 1, 2, 3s, 1, 2, 3, 4s, maybe getting away from the 65s and the 70s and the 80s and all that. The other will be looking at, do we want to do total points, or do we want to do averages, or do we want to do both, or do we want to do reassessments, or do, what do we do for homework and how much time, and unifying the number of assessments that need to be done in a span of 2 weeks so that there's some general unification in subject areas on such things. But all of it would be driven by and worked with directly teachers.
Yeah, but I guess my core question is, say Mr. Smith teaches science. Is there a set standard when he's teaching the science of what is expected? Is he supposed to give 20% for attendance, 10% for class participation, 20% for home? Is that set in the high school or no?
Well, we'd look to do some standardization. I won't say specifically what yet, but for instance, in order to answer your question fully, we'd have to have a conversation about what grades are. For instance, attendance. If you give 20% for attendance, then you're giving it for compliance, not for knowledge. Yeah. And if one kid has to stay, misses periods 1 and 2 because they're taking care of their siblings because there's no dad or mom or reverse it and they can't get in and they miss a certain part of class and it's not anything they control, but it has nothing to do whether they're capable or not. You're not really assessing what they know and can do. You're assessing whether their family is, capable enough to do it. And if their family is, not capable, then you're giving it for compliance, not for knowledge. And if the kid, one kid has to stay, misses periods 1 and 2 because they're taking care of their siblings because there's no dad or mom or reverse it and they can't get in and they miss a certain part of class and it's not anything they control, but it has nothing to do whether they're capable or not. You're not really assessing what they know and can do. You're assessing whether their flexible enough for them to be able to get to school on time, right? Which is a different thing. So like what we want to do is make sure that to the greatest extent possible, there's consistency and that we do no harm in our processes and our, and how we do things. So there would be, for instance, waiting, if you're going to have a certain kind of assessment, you can't have one teacher who weights nothing. So everything is exactly the same. And then another one who weights something, at a factor of 9 or something.
But what I'm saying is that happening now is what I'm
So
asking.
we're looking for standardization. And some of
Is that
that,
happening now?
well, some of it does happen now, but
That's what I'm asking. Is it yes or
high
no?
school kids know that there's.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
But
But it's
his point.
But it's not unique to us that happens.
No, no, I'm not saying it's.
But he's
unique.
still
I'm
talking-
not. I'm just,
Yeah, it's not unique to us that it happens now, but yes, I mean,
Okay.
yes, which is why it would be great to have,
A standard.
everyone get on the same page about certain things.
all right, thank you.
All right, guys. So next, I'm gonna have Dr. Willett tell us what would be his top 3 or 4. But I'm just gonna, during that time, I want you to listen to him, but I also want you to be ready with what your top 3 or 4 are. Because this is literally our first agenda item, so if we need to, we're gonna move it out to next week, but this is also why we tried to do the ranking beforehand for the meeting. So I'm gonna rush you a little bit because we did have the time to do it. All right, so Dr. Willett, are you prepared to say what you think are the most rewarding goals for yourself in the district?
Yeah.
And I know you'll do whatever we ask you to do. I understand that, but I still would like to know if there are things that you would really like to work on here and that you think would be really good for our district.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that for me, just I want to make sure the meetings are efficient because I don't want to waste people's time and I'll let it. But that doesn't necessarily have to be a you thing, but that is something I got to do.
Yep.
Because it's the, I think I'm at a point in my career too where I can do that better than I was, able to do a decade ago. So that's just a me thing, but I think that the ROI thing is important. That one I've been eyeballing for a while. I really want to make a solid instrument or patent
But
it
you're saying number 1 as well, right? So number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's hard because all
Right.
of these are important to me,
Yeah.
but I would say the ROI one has a high level of importance. There's all kinds of things like community workshops are important, things like that. But I don't know where you want me to go with it. I would say that the TPSEI, that initiative, efficiencies initiative, would be important to me. The thing about that I'm a little nervous about is I don't know whether I can deliver on that because if I go out there and say, "Come on in," and everybody gives me,
Right.
an answer that is not amenable, then that's hard. But I want to try. So as long as it's not absolute failure, if I don't have absolute success, then that's another one. Because I really want to try that. It is my goal to bring everyone to the table. The culture climate committee stuff, that's going to be extremely important for compliance for the state of Connecticut and for making sure the district's in the right space. So, these are things that we need to keep rolling. So I would say that has a level of importance. I think that the trainings, the HOTS for the admin, that they usually get overlooked for stuff, and I want to try to make sure the admin, get the training that they need, and that's important. And then the grading and the cumulative folder, I think the grading is extremely important for the district. I think the cumulative folder is too, but it's not. I know that it's not exciting. But from the point of view of logistics and operations, it's a big deal. Safety and security, that one I think would be good too. So I just colored these green. The culture climate, the grading, the safety security, the HOTS, the ROI, the TPSEI. Those I think probably are all, and I kept the meeting out of it because I'll make it green. I have to do that anyway, but it would be nice if I knew that that's what, So I'm gonna put a ton of energy into that. So getting, that having one of the goals, being one of the goals is nice, because I put a ton of energy into it anyway.
You chose 7 goals. I think that is too many.
I counted 8.
There's 6.
I got 1, 3, 4, 8, 2, 9, and 11. I wrote them as you said them.
1, 3,
2,
4.
9, 10.
I got 6.
He threw 10 in too.
I think
I like to put 12.
Was math not a strong
Yeah.
suit tonight?
Okay, no, I get.
The green ones, there's 7 green.
How many of these can you do? And with the understanding that these are also things that, will be in your evaluation. So let's not tank ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard.
You understand that you're gonna work every one of these things. It's just about where you can prioritize things and hopefully accomplish. I mean, we've done goals before, like a preschool, and then that was budget related, and so therefore that all of those hours that you spent putting together all those plans were for naught. So
Yeah, I mean, in open choice, I want to expand that too, but
you're getting 3 or 4 goals tonight. That's gonna be it.
I can guarantee seats, but I could put a lot of energy into the data and things.
All right, why don't you think about it? I'm gonna start taking our ranking. And maybe,
put 6 in. I narrowed it to 6.
oh, okay, so what are we at?
There's green.
1, 3, 4, 8, 2, 11.
1, 2, 3.
8, 2, and 11.
I put 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10. 8, 9, 11. Greens are 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 11.
Oh,
Greens are the ones you're ranking?
If you look to column A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The green 1, the green 2, the green 3, the green 8, the green 9, the green 11.
All right,
But I mean, I still.
all right, I'm stopping. Okay, so I'm gonna start. I chose 1. I chose 1 and 3 because efficiency is money, time is money. So those are why I chose 1 and 3. Any way that we can make anything more efficient is good for our pocketbook, it's good for our superintendent, it's good for our staff, and it's good for our students. It puts teachers and staff members with students more time. It gives our administrators time to focus on other things. It gives Dr. Willett time to work his 12 priorities, or his goals. So that's why I chose 1 and 3. I chose 11, safety and security, obviously very important to me personally, but also because we have been asked questions, we've been talking about doing this study. We don't feel that it's necessary to do a study that costs $50,000 right now, given our budget and given our strong security as it is. However, this is something that's regularly questioned. It's regularly questioned by board members. It's regularly questioned by the community. We are working to have the town give us an actual SRO. It'll be the first time in a very long time, well, a long enough time that we've had a dedicated full-time SRO in our schools. So I just think that it's timely and it's important. And then 9, the grading and assessment review committee work. I believe that this is probably one of the most measurable goals that we can look at. Like, I understand how we're going to be able to see the measurements in like 1 and 3, but in this, for Dr. Willett to be able to report out to us that he created a standardization or, got to a place of standardization where there wasn't one before, would be data that we can look at, we can chew on, we can see results in, and we can evaluate them on.
Need the staff. I'm helping work through it with staff.
Right, but these are your goals.
Yeah.
So that's why I chose 1, 3, 11, and 9. So now we're going to go around and I just ask that you spend about the same amount of time that I did if you're going to explain why you chose 1, 3, 11, and 9. Okay. Elaine, are you, if you're not ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm good. I got it. All right. So I am choosing goal 11 because safety, very, very important to me. So I agree with that. Goal 12, because it has the potential to continue to bring money in. Plus, it works on our culture and climate. We're exposing our children to kids from other areas. So I think that actually is a huge part of culture and climate as well. Goal 13, the potential to save money, I think is pretty impressive, and it focuses our resources back on actual Tolland residents, which are taxpayers, and that's where they want the money to go to. And then my fourth one is goal number 3, because of the potential to cut programs that aren't effective. So budget time, when we're talking about what we can keep, what has to go, I would love for Dr. Willett to be able to go, okay, we looked at this and program A, we're seeing good results. Program B, not as good. So let's, if we have to get rid of one, get rid of B. We know A is supporting our students stronger.
Great.
Thank you.
JP, are you ready?
No, I'm not.
Go ahead, David.
So I say, 11's my top, then 1, 3, then 9. For my top one.
Okay, Bill, do you want to go or you want to?
Sure, 3, 9, 11, and 12.
I'll second that. Please. Thank you.
You, Jaden.
3 ROI, I talked about it a few years about measuring somehow what is effective, what is helpful, what is useful for these students and staff, by the way, what tools are helpful for them and are they getting something back out of goal 3, goal 1, goal 11, and goal 9 with a bonus of goal 12. So it's really good.
Bonus.
Did you say that again?
Goal 3, goal 1, goal 11, goal 9, goal 12. I'm giving it 5. Heck.
Doesn't mean I'm writing down 5.
That's-
McKenna.
I'm good.
So Jen, I agreed with your ranking. And the only strong opinion I have outside of that is like not the residency goal. I'm sorry, I'm not looking at the screen right now. So I don't know which one that is, but not that one.
Residency goal, you mean the 13?
Yeah, just hold on. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do 3 things at once. Okay. Thank you. Mackenzie, were you all set there or did you want to ask
Yep.
anything?
Nope, good.
Okay, you had a question.
Just a quick question, Dr. Willett, on the residency, I 100% know this is going to be a guesstimate. How many kids do you think we're talking about that are abusing this thing?
Yeah, well,
Total guesstimate. Are we
Right.
talking over
It's
20?
not the-
Are we talking under 20?
yeah, not the kids abusing it, but,
True, right, fair point.
I mean, yeah, you're under 20.
Are we under 10?
You're probably around 10.
Okay,
And you're probably intensively around 3. And probably generally around 5, 7 for them, you know. I see within your range of 10, you've got people that divorced and someone moved out and 2 people moved in different directions but somebody's now staying with grandma and grandma's not the person that, you know, is not the primary parent. Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That's in your zone of 5 and the 7s. Your 1s and 3s are, you know, doing stuff that is, to me, violation of zoning, violation of, you know, law, you know, that stuff. So I would say you got 10.
Okay.
And it you know, fluctuates throughout the year.
Sure.
So,
All right, so let me tell you what I've got here. So for goal number, do we have, oh, I'm sorry. JP.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Susan
Please show.
tallied them up, so we need your.
I'm sorry,
your
yeah,
numbers.
please. You don't have to pick that many either. I mean, it's just whatever jumps out strongly.
And I'm seeing some things I like in them that concern me in a few different things. I'm trying to narrow it down to, you know, picking a definitive 4. And I don't want to be the one that's holding this up here while I'm, you know, chewing on things. You know, definitely 11 and 12. I agree, you know, 13, I just don't see the payoff other than, you know, if it's really that small a group that's the real, what you might call the really bad actors, I think that's something that you can, it doesn't need to be a prioritized issue to capture, you know, wrong word, but to address the key actors, right? I mean, none of these things are completely falling off the radar, correct?
Absolutely not. That's the
So-
thing here. It's like
so
we
that's the-
struggle with this, but really, he's working on all of this. Our committees are working on all
But
of this. And by
everything's
the way,
not priority.
we prioritize these things in the committee, just like They'll prioritize open choice in the curriculum committee. You're prioritizing fast tracking the policies in the policy committee, right? Like we still can do these things.
Right, but remember that as my employer, if you're saying focus on certain things, you also have to help with.
Absolutely.
So that means like don't do things contrary to.
I just think sometimes
Asking me
we
to do.
overthink.
No,
things
I know.
Because it makes it look like you're not, I mean, like you
If
said,
you
I'm
start a-
doing that
if you
anyway.
start a
I'm going
board
to do that
initiative-
anyway.
If you were to start a board initiative.
Right,
That is not these. and
right.
say,
If we were
"Do
to create
this,"
something new.
without making it my goal,
none of
but it's a
these are-
board initiative,
Right.
I will do the board initiative, but it will
Understood.
be contrary to the achievement of the.
Understood. All right, JP, so okay,
Yeah,
for
so-
11 and 12.
So, yeah, I mean, I like some of the ones here that you've really got a deliverable that is gonna let us demonstrate some improvement by the end of the year, right? So I'm looking 11, 12, 9, I think, if you put some focus, time and effort into that, when you get something good accomplished by the end of the year on that. And 3, I'm gonna pick 4, that's where.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Okay. So here's where we're at. So for goal number 1, 4 of us plus Dr. Willett. For goal number 2, just Dr. Willett. For goal number 3, 8 plus Dr. Willett. For goal number 4, just Dr. Willett. For goal number 8, just Dr. Willett. But he did choose a lot more than us. For goal number 9, 7 of us. For goal number 11, 7 plus Dr. Willett. For goal number 12, 4 plus Dr. Willett. And for goal number 13, just 1 of us. So that makes our highest ones number 3, number 7, number,
What, 7?
No, 7 or 9.
oh, so, no, number 11, you're right, I was looking at the 7, number 11, because that was 7 plus Dr. Willett, then number 9 was just 7. And then,
We'll say it again, number 3.
Yeah.
3, 11.
She's mathing on fly.
and then we are tied on 1 and 12. There's 4 plus Dr. Willett for 1, and there's 4 plus Dr. Willett for 12.
He had a 5th vote for number 12.
You want us all to put in a 5th vote? I mean, I can't.
2 votes for 12.
Rating's not consistent. We can't throw it in there.
So, again, I think, Dr. Willett, why don't you take a look at these? Like you said, some are larger than others. So,
Well, so
we have a definite 3 of 3, 9, and 11. I mean, those were landslides.
was 12 also one of your bigger ones, yeah.
12 and 1,
12 are
Tied.
tied.
4, and you said 1 and
So I would say if you're gonna do it, I would do,
you said you were doing 1 anyway.
yeah.
We're doing 12
How about
anyway.
3, 11, and 12. Why don't you give me 3, 11, and 12?
No, 9,
No,
9,
nine.
there's a big one there.
9, yeah, but
But
3, 9,
definitely,
11,
we were
and
doing
12.
1 anyway.
I'm
I think
also-
one of the
also
meeting
doing
ones
9
have to
anyway.
hit.
I'm also doing
You're
9.
doing all of them anyway.
9,
You can.
it'll be nice, maybe like if you just, I think 9 I'm doing anyway. So if you guys wanna, if you know that I'm doing
You guys want to give him 3?
anyway, then you can focus it on another one or something, but right now I see
He
3,
didn't get his way.
I see
Do we
11.
want to just give him 3?
Oh,
Why are you saying that?
I'm looking at you and asking you to take your biggest one off the
well,
table.
we've got, in that one, he built a strong, we can do 3, 11, and 12.
No, we're doing 9. 9
He's
got the
he's
vote.
doing not,
We're doing 9.
Just saying that I'll be doing that anyway,
Okay. Can I say
But
something?
that's measure, we're doing 9.
Well, when you
That's
say
very
it's
measurable,
measurable.
that's something that, you know what? When I'm writing your evaluation, unless anyone else would like to help me write the evaluation, data like this is really helpful for me to write an evaluation.
It also depends.
But if you guys would like to choose a different number and write that piece of the evaluation, you may.
I'll throw it in as a, depends on how far that committee gets to. It's teacher committee, so.
What committee? 9?
Yeah, that's the DGAR committee, it's these 2 groups, right? So at the end of the year, it may be that K5 is getting to the point of exploration on the 1, 2, 3, 4, and we've done training on it and all that, but you might not have 1, 2, 3, 4 by June, So it depends on what you think is going to be measurable in that. I think progress will be measurable, but you won't have 1, 2, 3, 4 grading in pre-K 5 by June. That's a huge change.
I don't think that that's a necessity.
Well, that's what I'm saying is, you know what I'm saying?
You're also not going to fill 100 open choice spots. You're not going to have, you know,
It just,
You know.
I teach.
Choice spots.
I was looking through my list. That's just the first one I grabbed.
Just say driven by teachers, so I'll be doing it anyway. So
Should work for us.
the ones that I don't like, if you don't really, if you didn't tell me to focus on it, I like ROI, but if you don't give any rats whatever, then I probably would.
No, I want to.
That's my point, is that one, that's one that if you told me you didn't really care, I probably wouldn't pursue that, even though that's an interest of mine.
No,
If
I
you care more, I wouldn't.
He was the top one.
You know,
I'm
I
gonna
would
be
do it.
honest with everyone. I'm most comfortable doing a 3, 9, and 11. But if we want to have a vote for whether we want to do 1 or 12 and add that as a fourth goal, I'm okay with doing that. But we need to wrap this conversation up. Dana, go ahead.
So the whole point is to give our superintendent goals the way that he can make a major impact on our entire student body and our entire staff body and our entire building. Right? So number 12, you said, is probably around the 10 mark, but there's really probably 3 real egregious. This is not some, granted, it's very important. It's a very important subject because we have students that are misusing or abusing the schools of tax dollars that our community members pay. But do we want that as our top goal for our superintendent to be running of the Tolland public school system? Right. So I'm just saying, this is my point. So,
That's not on there.
but we're 12.
No,
That's 13. You're
Sorry,
thinking about.
okay, so open choice.
Yeah.
Again, do we want that as our top thing for our
Mhm.
superintendent to work on? He's already working on it. We've expanded it through the elementary levels. We've talked about that. We've talked about having older students bringing in their younger siblings and going to it. This is, yes, it's going to be a part of building our school. It's a part of building our school, but I'm sorry to get punchy, but it's 9 o'clock. We've been talking about this in circles. So we really have to look at what our superintendent is going to do, what's best for our school as a whole, our school system as a whole, and what we can tangibly hold him to. He's already said he's going to take care of all of these in his day in, day out business. But what are the 4 focuses that we wanted our superintendent to be working on? And that's where I'd like to be.
Okay, this is what we're going to do. Here's your fair is fair. This is your option, Jaden. We keep it at the 3 goals. We add number 1 or we add number 12. What would you like to do?
My recommendation was whichever one he wants. Like we picked 3 strong ones. Whichever one he feels is more important between those 2, I'm fine with.
It's not one of the options. She just asked you for 3 out.
Jade, okay, so you want to add a goal. So do you want to add 1 or do you want to add 4?
Well, I have 1 here. So my 4 were 3, 1, 11, 9. So the only one that's not included is 1. I vote 1
Okay, so you're adding 1.
if that's what you're.
Brian, would you like to stick with the 3, add 1 or add 12?
At 12.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bill,
I'd like to. Oh,
Dana,
Add 1.
JP,
I go with 12.
Elaine. 12. And I am stick with the 3. So. Mackenzie. Oh, Mackenzie, I'm sorry.
I'm also stick with 3.
Great. Okay, so 12 wins. Okay, so Dr. Willett, are you okay with your goals being 3, 9, 11, and 12?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yep, just remember the dark stuff, which you can sit in on, we get as far as the staff can get. Because they're the ones.
Do you not want that?
No, I just wanted to, we're doing it with them.
Right.
Well, yes,
Staff.
but the implication is if it's one,
I put it there because
you're helping increase their focus on it.
Which is why I gave you the first option to just stick with 3 goals, but you wanted to give everybody the chance to add another one. So
I do whatever you guys want.
welcome to your goal. So 3, 9, 11, and 12. Think you can do that?
Sure.
Okay.
Can that be added though to that metric, the metric indicators of success of, relying on, part of that is relying on not him to do that. So can we add that to, it's not in there right now as a metric of success. So can it be added into grading, upgrading grading policies by working with
He's
administrators?
trying to say that he wants it to show that for the grading, that it depends upon
more than just him,
Right.
more than just you on that one.
Yeah.
Granted, all of these do, but what you're
Yeah,
explaining.
I'm just throwing the caveat that, I'm working with a committee.
Yeah,
Just like when we work as a big committee.
well, I think then
We
you'll be
decide things
surprised on how
together.
far the committee got, but
Right.
you're putting together a committee. And I'm sure you're going to be engaged with that committee.
The wording has to be not putting all of it somewhere right here. At the same time, it is now a goal that we are measuring the success of that, stuff. But I don't think it's fair to just include what's written here.
I understand.
So
Yeah.
if that makes sense, hopefully.
No, and I think that we all remember that from evaluation.
Yeah.
Suggestion.
You're totally correct here.
These 4 goals that we're gonna put, should you and I try and rewrite them so that they are measurable and specific to what you can do? For example, the open choice should not be measurable on filling 15 seats, but it could be measurable on what's been done to try and fill those 15 seats. And that's not specific in the goals. So should we look at, the intent of these goals between
Yeah.
you and I to rewrite them
Well,
better?
Yeah, I think we
And with them do all that.
we would do that.
So
Okay.
Three of us.
why don't we do that? And
Because I kind of know what that
we'll report out to the board next week.
is.
Next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sure.
All right, moving on. K2, WFPA, 10 to 12 months secretary.
Okay, so for central office, right now, we have a position that went from 1.0 to 0.8. That was a result of a staff member's special request due to circumstances sort of beyond their control that has to do with their family. So the problem that we have right now is we have a shortage because that constitutes like almost an entire day of non-coverage. At the same time, we have a curriculum secretary that is unable to execute all the duties that we need that person to do for curriculum. So this position would be then expanding that individual who's currently a 10-month, or not really that individual, but that job. That job is currently a 10-month job, and it would expand to a 12-month. Secretaries are 2 classes. You're either a 10-monther or a 12-monther. So because we lost the central office position from 1.0 to 0.8, we could increase the curriculum secretary position from 10-month to 12 and get that coverage back. That person would then provide the coverage that the individual who's not with us for the full 1.0 can't do. And those expanded responsibilities would be academic ordering, tracking, fulfillment, what we call the STIA process, which is student, teacher, intern, and intern observer assignments, the team, placement management, which is the state of Connecticut's completely changing the team program. We're going to need a lot more administrative support on that. HR, data management, state reporting, the teacher continuous learning plan. There's tons of documents that have to be digitally created for that. Right now, and then also multi-tiered systems of support, scheduling and processing of that administrative paperwork and what's called BRM. So right now we have massive holes and we've lost that person from 1.0 to 0.8. So we really need someone to step in and be able to pick that up. And at the same time that they'd step in and pick that up, there's about 400 other things that we could have them doing, more extensively that would help us. Because talk to Suzanne Waterhouse next time you see it. Like we're all underwater. Like the whole central office here, we just can't. We don't have enough to get stuff done. So having that point, that's just going to be just at a time when we're already kind of really working to balance everything. We need to restabilize that. So what that does is it helps us build that, and we can offset it by the 0.8. We also can offset it by some other health arrangements. The person's situation at 0.8 is different than 1.0. So that also picks up some savings that we can then utilize.
So even though it's 17,205 differential, it's actually even a little lower than that. I just don't do that, put that in there per se, because I can never guarantee health stuff, but it sounds like the person wouldn't be taking health with us. Now, that could change, but that doesn't seem like it's going to. So the difference of, the dollar impact would probably be even less, but that's the overall dollar impact. Future potential dollar impact at max would be 30, but it would be mitigated if that stayed 0.8 and also mitigated if the health insurance stuff was selected a certain way. So max exposure in the future is 30, more likely 17, probably less than that. And right now we have major holes that we need to fill in terms of operations. So that's what this does. So that's why, at least for now, I have to do it, but I wanted to make sure you're aware that this is what's going on.
Any questions for Dr. Willett?
I do, it all studies.
Okay.
A year from now, if the 0.8, well, first of all, is there any union contract implications?
No, it would be strictly done within the unions.
Okay, so unions okay with this? We don't have to jump through any hoops with this as per the
I
contract.
would follow the union's procedures to achieve it, so no.
Now, a year from now, if she wants to come back to a 1.0, we've got this other person that we increased from a 10-month to a 12-month. Do we drop them back down to a 10-month and increase her to 1.0? Do we tell her she has to stay at 0.8? What do we do?
Any of the above, but my thing would be probably to make that 12 months just part of the budget.
And that would be the $30,000
At
implication.
max, it would be the 30. If
So-
it stayed 0.8, it would be less, like if that other one stayed 0.8 and health stayed the same, it would be more like less than 17, but at its max exposure, it would be 30.
So I just want to make sure I understand it. So if she comes back to 1.0 and we keep the 12-month
And we don't cut anything
and we
out,
don't cut anything,
you're
it's
looking
about
at max
30,000.
exposure of 30.
Any other questions? Okay, so what do we think here? Do we want to think about moving into action or?
No, you don't have to, because these are within the discretion of the superintendent.
Okay.
If it's an administrator, I would ask you can, but I'm putting it in front of you to be transparent about it.
Okay.
Like operationally, I had to.
Yep.
If you absolutely opposed it, I would obviously not, but if there's no opposition to this.
Yeah, in that case, then I'd just like to add that obviously we discussed this at length. We've also been just discussing the amount of work that is on the board office right now. A lot of things have expanded. Like Dr. Willett said, our FOIA requests are off the charts, and it's not just people asking for dramatic things. It's companies asking us for full histories of what we bought for paper. It's a lot. That's just one of many things that it just continues to grow, and the people in the office don't continue to grow. So there's a lot of time spent on a lot of things. So I'm fully in agreement with this. Listen, we're still going to have options should this be a problem. We can always cut back the 12-month again, come budget next year. We made changes to secretaries and the board office, and we've done that for several years. So I know that Dr. Willett puts a lot of effort in before he ever asks us for anything like this for the board office specifically. So I'm in complete agreement with this and have had discussions with him along the way. So, yeah, Dina.
So to be clear, this is an additional headcount to the board office.
Actually, well, it's not an additional FTE.
Sorry, say again?
It's not really an additional FTE per se. It is a shift in the employee type. So it's a more expensive person. But for instance, your 10-monther is really kind of, in your full-time school year for a 10-monther, the 12-monthers go over the summer. They're a person, you know, but it's just that the people that are 12-month get more.
You're extending existing person.
Yeah.
So this is then an add to it.
It's one person, it stays one person. It's just that one of them goes longer into the year, all the way through the year.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds to me like it's about the most efficient way to increase the available effort without
Resources.
bringing a whole new person in and having that other incremental impact and, you know, benefits and everything else.
Okay. Alrighty, what's next? End of year June financial report.
So, basic summary for the end of year, this is the actual, wrap breakdown for where we feel we're ending last year. So June 30th, 2026, the final balance is 319,964.65. It represents 0.72% of the total budget. That does include the encumbrances, but the encumbrances are pretty typical for boards of education in 10-22. You know, for instance, things that would be a part of such encumbrances would be things like TIS. We haven't been able to sustain, as you remember, the across the board all the Chromebooks and all that restoration. So what we did is we had to buy units that could charge them, that would have them stay in classrooms versus go home, because you can't have, these things sitting around. When they were taking them home, they charged them at home and then they bring them in charged. If they're not going home, our electrical infrastructure for TIS is not such that 500 children returning can plug them into all the walls. You have to have them in these kind of cases. So, that's the kind of thing that you would get, because our budget went a certain way. We had to adjust and, provide enough options so that we could still utilize those devices. Other things that you would see be part of that, HVAC inspections that are required by the state of Connecticut. That would be kind of thing you would be using for the funds between, that would be something encumbered so that you could execute that. Athletics, I don't know if you noticed, but the shed out there in the back of the high school, talk about hantavirus and every other thing that is there, that needed to be replaced. And now all of these different organizations in Tolland were asking for places to put their stuff. You ever hear George Carlin, like why is it that my stuff is this? And I can't say it the way he does. Everyone else's stuff is
Yeah.
but my stuff is great. Anyway, point is, we needed to put the shed there, needed to do HVAC inspection stuff, needed to make sure you had the things like the Chromebook stations, because they can't, the infrastructure is not there. So that's part of all educational expenses, and that's why those are examples. You're at 319. Now keep in mind that whether you're 319 or 4, you're still at 0.7 or 0.8 of a budget, which is within accounting standards absolutely what you want in a budget that's $45 million. Also that fluctuation can, 1 or 2 tuitions on $100,000. I mean, you don't want to be in a place where you're below water on that either. And that is kind of what happened there too, is we got a couple tuitions that ended up being freed up. So that helped in that balance. That doesn't always happen. Sometimes it goes in the other direction and, you're down in the 50s or whatever, but, we ended at that 0.72. So that's where it ends at the end of the year. Some of the biggest stuff, there's a little bit of a balance in severance pay. Severance is an expenditure of which the board has limited control. And, we can't always predict how many are going to retire. We try, and severance costs can go up and down. And that was one that fluctuated a bit, 22,000. And, things like insurance, certified salaries, that's attributable to the ins and outs of those vacancies and the substitute salary accounts, 121, 122, 125. The sub accounts were overspent to cover for the people that ended up going on those sick leaves or the vacancies and all of that. So sometimes people will say, oh, you've got, look at this in certified salaries, you have all this money, but then you have to look at the substitute accounts that there's the LTSs, the long-term subs, the people, the 1 years that came in to hire the ones that were out. And those two lines pretty much balance each other out or close to it, because objects 121, 122, 125 were way overspent, but they were spent to cover for the vacancies that existed because of all the other stuff. So it has to be looked at in a totality, right? That's just kind of transportation. We did okay. We did have a little bit of transportation as we were able to, I don't know, you probably realize we have John Cronin. We've been trying to do transports, related to special education and out of district transportation. We did save some money on that. So that was to the tune of 92,000 or so over the span of that time. So that could go in the other direction though too, because you could have a specialized transport for a student who has very special condition and one bus, $365 a day, and it can go in another direction. So we did okay. Tuition 34, the balance resulted from residents attending, other districts, and they actually, not as many did that. So we actually did get some money back in our direction, because that page that I tell you of interdistrict tuitions, to the tune of about 34, we recouped. Now, Connecticut is changing its way of processing that. And it used to give a subsidy that meant the magnets or whatever would charge us a certain amount minus the subsidy the state gave them. That's ending. And so all those fees are going to go way up because there's no longer a subsidy, so to speak. So we may not see that again, but we got lucky this time. So that's some of the biggest things. But that's your ending budget. And it's not crazy. And the audits have been great. And our director is the chief financial officer, Mr. Pilar Espinoza, is a really good guy and a really competent. And everything has been going great, and the audits are great. So, we ended strong. We ended where we should be. And, now what will happen is I will be coming to you to look at transfer to VRF after the audit is done. And then you'll have some funds you can utilize for capital project offsets and things like that. Special ed offsets, transport offsets.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Dr. Walden?
So I think more so some of my questions maybe can be geared toward our full conversation in FFC, but I'd like a full breakdown. I've reached out to Mr. McCluskey regarding the full breakdown of the athletics funds. When we're talking $400 or $399 per student times X amount of students, but it's a pretty large amount. And I haven't heard back from him. I don't know if maybe that's something that you and I and Mr. Espinoza should talk about in FFC. Like a full breakdown of the athletics funds for that. As well as I have a question regarding, so we have some of our athletic coaches that are salaried employees of the school system, and then there's some that are outside hires. Is it still just a stipend of certain amount, or is it different based on an outside hire versus an inside?
No, they get about the same amount.
Sure.
For teachers, it's defined under Article 38, but it ends up being.
So it's the same whether it's a in-school professional.
You don't get, it's not cheaper, no, for an outsider.
It's
not cheaper.
It's not
cheap. Volunteer.
Okay. And then on our next FFC meeting, we'll do a deep dive.
Sure.
Going in on the numbers that were offset. And when will we have the ARF numbers? Will that be by the FFC meeting or will that be?
Well, you actually have some of them today, but then you're gonna have, and when the audit is complete, I can make the request to you to have it put in the non-lapsing account, which is the ERF, and then you can see your new balance. Which would probably be whatever's left in there after everything settles, plus 3, that's 2019.
And then one other thing that I had was, we talked about the building consolidation money, as we also talked about the safety audit and how that was a pretty big chunk. I definitely think it's worth us looking for some grants or something from the state, because obviously if we're taking care of building consolidation, it would relieve some funding from the state, not having to fund the full 4 schools at all. So it behooves the state as well as it behooves us in different ways. So I feel that we should probably, if I know that we kind of parked the school consolidation because of the ticket price going to get the assessment. But I feel like we should reach out to our representatives or someone at the state level to see if funding would be available for said assessment. Simply because the state would benefit as well if we were to work on some sort of consolidation. I'm sorry.
Thought when we talked about the consolidation, because we decided when we all discussed it that we weren't going to pursue us funding it, but we were going to have Dr. Willett respond to the email that we received from the town council member saying that,
Yeah, of course we did. Yeah.
right.
What I'm saying is, so since then I've done some more research and the state can fund certain things like the safety audit and certain things like the building consolidation. So I think it's worth the question. So we're making, and if they say no, and if it's not something that we can go for, then that's fine. But I wanted to bring it up because I think it's definitely something, because the state could yield some benefits from it as well.
Yeah, I think we just need to talk about that then, because then we've got to change the timing, because we were having Dr. Willett work on a response, but we wouldn't want to provide that response because then we're saying we're taking this out of our hands, we're putting it on the town's hands. But if we pursue this, then we're bringing it back into our hands. Do you know what I mean?
Well, then maybe the town can pursue it via the state, but again, I definitely think it's worth looking at some sort of grant funding.
Yeah, maybe we'll just have a discussion. Maybe it's even part of the communication that goes to it. You know what I mean? So I'm totally not against it. I just want to make sure that we time it correctly so that we don't take something off of our and then put it back on.
Right. And it's something that I communicated to Dr. Ward a couple weeks ago. So.
Okay. All right.
I just want to clarify the 319. Is that number already taken the encumbered out, or it is? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and even though this is what we have right now in August,
Right.
If something falls through, like were to fall through, money would come back, but I don't think it will. Like if the shed suddenly was somehow completely wrong and it was returned, which is highly unlikely, then we get the money back to the shed, and that number might go up by whatever that was. But this is where you're probably landing, and that's after encumbrances.
So in reality, then there potentially is money there to do those auditorium seats, or at least begin the process of doing them, if that's
Yes,
what we chose to do.
which is good. Yes,
Okay.
you've committed to that more or less. So
That's it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, next.
this year,
You're on your up. Thank you.
so just in ins and outs, as of June 30th, July 30th, which is actually when they were putting it together. The non-lapsing account, which is known to you as ERF. This is going to be a report that we give you periodically that will tell you kind of the ins and outs of the year, probably annually. The beginning cash balance at July 1st of last year was 219. The end of the year 2025, balance transfer of 335. Then, as you may recall in the budget process, ETI, there was 100 facilities that used it. There's the transfer out for the auditorium project, which you have requested to come back. So it was 388 out, which left 166, 736. Now, when you get the 188 back, it's really not going into your ER for long because it was used for your operating. So that 188, just pretend it's not, it's coming back, but not really into this. It's going to be utilized in your operating budget. So you really have about 166 until this recent amount of 319. There's the audit, in which case it can be moved. So it'd be like 319 plus the 166, if it's exactly that. And then that, can be utilized in a series of directions by you.
I see you have a question.
So I see that we had taken 100,000 to support the energy line item. Then I'm also noticing that we're 52,000 unspent in the energy line item. How does that correlate back? Does that just be kicked back? This 100,000 just went into the.
This is your money in your budget that at the end of the day, if you end up with money at the end of the year, you roll it into your non-lapsing. So it came out of your non-lapsing, but you didn't use it and it goes back into your non-lapsing.
So more or less half of what was put in.
It's yours and you bank.
It's coming back out of that 319.
Yeah, but those,
About 52 of that 319, that was just money we took out and we're putting back in more or less. Because we didn't use 52,000 from the energy.
Yeah, I mean,
line item we
you can
took
kind
out.
of look at it that way in that,
Excuse me?
money that you put into your operating, but no matter what here we're talking about, no matter what. If you use money to offset your budget from your non-lapsing account, and at the end of that fiscal year, you haven't used up every single dollar, some portion of that is probably rolling back into your non-lapsing account. The state allowed you to have an up to 2% non-lapsing account so that you could do that.
Yeah.
You can offset, bring back, rainy days, use it. On sunny, productive days, save it. It gives you the flexibility not to have massive, sometimes fluctuations. And you have fluctuations, but not as big as they would have been without this. You benefited from this. One thing I would say is even that 166 plus 319, remember to Bill's point, 188, that 188 is coming back into what you're using this year. The 188 for the auditorium is coming out of your ERF. So 319, 480 minus 188, you're really more at about 3. That then you could utilize in a number of ways as you enter the next budget cycle.
Now, what my point being is that 319 that we're stating here is more or less escalated by $50,000 that we more or less took out of the ERF into general. Now we're just moving that 50K back. So in reality, you're only at 270 instead of 319. Because the 50,000 was just from ERF originally.
Already used anyway.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you can think of it that way too.
I said 219.
There's 319 on what's over. Yeah, that's left over.
Try to just think of it as, right now I have a checking and a savings and I had the money in the savings and I moved a little bit in checking to handle something and then I ended up having a little extra in the checking and I moved it back into the saving. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You're allowed to do that up to
On the monthly report, end of year budget balance.
Oh, I'm on his ERF statement.
Yeah. No, I was correlating the two numbers.
Gotcha.
That's how I got it back.
But in general
What's
terms,
he talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, 219. Thank you.
So I'm saying we moved 100, but we're really bringing 52 back because we didn't use 52 for the energy. So you really only used 48K of the 100,000. So just from a public standpoint as well, even that over the budget percent number was still 52,000 off was just from ERF. It wasn't that we missed budget. We were just trying to offset potential energy use.
well, then in all frankness, with ins and outs, even the
Yeah.
kind of ins and outs you're talking about, you are at less than 1% of any of ins and outs.
Yeah.
You're at 0.7, point this, point that. On this kind of budget, you don't, you're about right with that. You don't want to be in a place where you're right up against the razor.
Oh, no,
zero and that type of thing.
Thank you.
So it's just, this is the way we want. This is a good position for you to be in. It's not excessive. It's not abusive. It's for a $45 million budget, 0.7 is about where you want to be. And you're doing, reasonable things as you move them in and out to acquire and address issues.
Great. Okay. All right, it's taking me a long time to scroll back to my agenda.
Special ed, high quality.
Yep.
So as of this date, it's still not in what I call EGMS. Yeah, EGMS. Some of you have shown you this. Actually, this is EGMS. This is EGMS. EGMS. This is where most of the grants live. And when I go into the system, this is the system I'm using for accessing these. Writing grants, submitting grants, or approving grants that were submitted and all this other stuff. So just here's the system that we use, right? Well, right now, we've been waiting for it to dump in, and it finally did. I can see. But that's as of
When you
tonight.
say dump in, it means it's
It appears.
available for us to.
It appears, right. So when it appears, now we can act on it. But this was applied for back when it opened, and it's a great grant. It's being used for structured literacy, for co-teaching support, instructional materials, family engagement. You can't use it to supplant. So it's not like you could say, let's reduce our budget by 300,000 because we got this grant. You can't do that. But you're using it to augment high quality special ed instruction. And that's what it's written to do. So that's what it is. Its purpose is. So we applied for it and got it. And so we're going to be able to augment and support structured literacy, get better training, better trained people will be able to leverage that with kiddos. I suppose what you could say is because we're getting all this great training in the future, we might not have to spend money on training. So you could say that, but it's not supposed to supplant. So you can't say, okay, you can't say we're going to take this and now move 300,000 into our ERF because we have 300,000 from the grant. That's not, the grant is for training and materials related to training and for teaching and structure. So that's basically it. And then here's a breakdown and roughly the line that it goes into: structured literacy, 128 on-site coaching days goes into 330, about 230,000. Co-teaching, employee training, 60,000. Structured literacy and materials is about 49, but that relates directly to that structured literacy. And then family workshops, about 10. And that's it. It's just giving you kind of the rundown of what this was. Now, keep in mind, we get a lot of, we're constantly applying for grants, getting grants and all that. And if you look at the grant page of our budget, the budget booklet, you've got about $700 to $1 million in grants. And when they come up, our staff grab them, and do what we can to get them. So there's, Dr. Hess, thank you for that. Did that, went out, we got this, and we all work as a team to make sure that we're getting these. And the next one, well, you've seen the other ones. There's the Article 1, there's the one that we got to support the social worker. They come all the time and we grab them as soon as we can. And we do talk about them in FFC.
Yeah, I just want to thank Dr. Hess for going after this. And you may have said this, and I'm sorry if I missed it, but the thing that you explained to me, which I just thought was important when you and I talked about this, Dr. Willett, was that, this is what it was asked for. So when Dr. Hess, did she write the grant itself, or did you write it with her?
Yeah, there's.
Don't want to use the wrong terminology.
Well, I'll give Dr.
But
Hess
the request,
credit. Yeah.
yeah, the request was for it to be utilized for these specific
And
programs.
these grants get dropped for a purpose.
Right, and they are,
And we grab them up for that purpose.
right, and when we receive the grant, it is told to us that we are using it for these purposes. Like you explained, other people ask for some other things and other districts, and they can use it towards those other things.
Well,
We ask for these things.
Yes, but the grants, they also have certain limitations.
Right.
So.
I just want people to understand that just because we have this grant doesn't mean that we can now
put it towards,
No,
a
the
permanent
grant,
foundation, or I'm just grabbing
the
something out of
grant
there.
conditions
needs to be
stipulate
utilized.
what you can use it.
That's the point I was trying to make.
So,
So this is what it was requested for, and this is what it's being used.
well, let's, to communicate it another step, okay? It only has certain parameters. You request within those parameters
Right.
and then you use it, but you can't use it for something outside of the parameters that it was released for.
Right.
So it's not just, for instance, I wouldn't want someone to look at it and say, well, you could have gotten 5 special educators for that. No, that's not what
Right.
that was
You're not.
for, right? So no, it's not that it was for this and we used it for that. It was in the scope of the high quality instruction. It's training, structured literacy, materials for that. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
And then, that's what was applied to be used for was within those parameters. You can't use it in other ways.
Yeah.
The state will let you use it in.
That wasn't something that I understood beforehand, so I just wanted to make sure that the board.
Because you could also screw up maintenance of effort, things like that. You're not supposed to spend substantially less on special education from one year to the next. And that's why you can't, this is an addition to what you're doing, not a subtraction from what you're doing. Is that you would be in trouble for that reason.
All right, thank you.
Just a
All
quick
right.
note, I'll just read the purpose. So this is only gonna be able to be used at TIS at middle school.
Well, I mean,
It says 3 to 8.
yeah, except that these programs like co-teaching and everything,
Yeah.
they have
Cross-train.
the teachers intermingle and they move
Okay.
around over time. This will benefit us in all kinds
Okay,
of ways.
good, yeah, okay.
Even though there's the initial trainings are in certain places, like
Yeah.
structured literacy is usually concentrated in those grades,
Okay,
but it'll have benefits well beyond that.
thank you.
Are we gonna be in a position to continually ongoingly fund a $350,000 initiative? And not be getting a grant for it in the future?
No. Nor if I had asked for that, we probably wouldn't have supported it over people. That's why the state made these grants available, because it knew that in a town like Tolland, if I said, well, we could do 350,000 of training, or we could have, 7 teachers, you'd be like, 5 or whatever you want to say, you would say no. And that's why these grants are available, because if you're not getting it from the grant, you may not be doing it at all. That's kind of how they.
Can you repeat that last statement? Dr. Zork?
Yeah, the state makes these grants available because it knows a town like Tolland, you're not trading people for training.
But I want you to repeat the last statement. If we don't get the grant, we might not be able, whatever you said, uses the program at all.
We would not be able to spend this much on training or materials without the grant.
Thank
It
you.
would have been
That's-
impossible.
That's what I want.
So the state also pats itself on the back for making these available to us, you know what I'm saying? So they're gonna say, we supported special education, you'll see that in the political rhetoric. And it's true, they did, because they open up these grants and then we get to apply for them, get them, so. But that's their way of saying supported it too.
I just think it's important.
Yeah.
To highlight that last statement.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Jean, did you have anything?
I just think the state should be doing all sorts of things to help districts like Tolland. So good on them.
Anybody else?
And one.
All right, let's move on then to action. And 1, the proposal for the lunch increase.
Should be doing more. Sorry. Okay, now.
All right. That's me.
You're up.
I realize
Didn't we leap over a bunch of stuff?
trying to pull weight from top.
New business, old business, there's something on the agenda.
Yeah, that's it. All right, ready? This is what you saw before. However, it's been modified. So speaking of initiatives, Governor Lamont did drop that like the 10th, then we had the last meeting on the 12th. We did fill out all the paperwork necessary and do what we got to do for this, the breakfasts. The thing with the breakfast is, there's not a ton of kids eating breakfast, so it'll have a modest impact, but So what we did in order to make this hopefully easy is we still face the same escalations that we talked about before, but we're not going to do any changes whatsoever in the 26-27 year. The escalations that will occur in the 27, 28, and 28, 29 year. And the escalations would be 15 cents. So that strikeout there is actually not, but shouldn't be struck. The food for breakfast and others will go up by 15 cents, not this year, but in the next two, to stay consistent with the price increases. However, if the state somehow does do something that offsets the meal price, I will bring it back to you for further action. You can adjust it down.
So you're
But-
saying that yellow, the breakfast for all.
Yeah, that carried over when I had the other column there.
Understood.
There was a column for 6, 7, and sorry,
Okay.
26,
Got it.
and that had that in it.
Shouldn't make me laugh as much as that.
So it's an escalation up to 15 and to 30. It's a 30-cent increase in all areas over the next 2 years. Next 2 years, not the one way.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to say that, thank you for keeping it to this level. When we first talked about this, I was hesitant to increase our prices. I think our parents are paying a lot right now for athletics and everything else, groceries. But it's a modest increase, and it makes sense why we unfortunately have to do it. So,
And interesting enough, the states, they let you start if you want at $4.65. So we're well below where
Yeah.
the state would let us start. If we wanted.
that's really important. Thank you. And thank you for helping us do that for our families. Okay, so with that, does anybody have any questions? Right,
I was pointing to Dana.
Dane.
Thanks. So to be clear, we talked about snack and we didn't put any increase on snack
Well, snacks will go up and down based on what.
based on whatever's a fluctuating. So, because we did explore that as well.
Yeah, and that will go up, by the way, because when Doritos or whatever go, I mean, I don't think we sell Doritos, but whatever the equivalent,
Cookies.
or Takis or whatever, when they go
Dylan's
up.
table, she buys everyone.
So I will say that the what we call a la carte is going to go up, but it's going up. I mean,
Based on the
all that
fair
other stuff
market
is going up.
price.
Yeah, but that's not where we get. I mean, we get money out of that, but that's not what most people associate with their lunch.
Okay. And then the free and reduced lunch for families that can still qualify, that is still available. This is beyond that.
Yes, no, the free and reduced families.
Doesn't impact.
Doesn't impact.
Right.
Okay. That's all I have. Thank you.
Dane.
On that, that's a good question. On that topic, if the price of lunch becomes more expensive, but people's, child X's parents aren't making any more money, that adds up over time. So are the standards for which people must meet? Am I starting to make sense?
Yes.
The standards for which people must meet to apply and be approved for
Do we
free
look,
and reduced lunch.
is that reviewed as well as things get more?
Well, that's not
expensive?
an us thing.
Right, but I'm asking.
That's a state standard, and
Oh, it's not changing statewide. This is
I
specific.
guess that you'd be able to apply.
well,
for
FRL, free and reduced lunch, is a state
State program. Got it.
They set that criteria, not.
But the pricing updates.
But the price is
town.
us.
So okay.
But still.
But to tack on to what you're saying, Jaden, what would stop a family from applying in December
Yeah.
versus June?
Yeah.
Because things change.
Yeah.
So I would,
Hmm. To the state I go.
Yeah, no, we are still a self-funded program.
Michelle.
You actually, speaking of initiatives and all that, you have some really good self-funded programs here, FRC, Food Service Fund, that, we have to.
Which is why we don't have to increase to 465 or whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's why we don't have to.
Right,
But the state would allow you to do that.
right. Understood. All right, thank you. Any other questions? Nope. All right, I will accept a motion
Motion to approve the proposed price increases for lunches presented in N1 of the August 26, 2026 meeting from 2027, 2028, and 2029, with the exception that if the state or federal government provides a program that offsets meal prices, the superintendent will update the prices and resubmit to the Board of Education accordingly.
Second.
Thanks, Elaine.
Any discussion? No. Jaden,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
Dana,
Aye.
JP,
Aye.
Elaine, hi, Mackenzie,
Aye.
and I, that passes unanimous.
City election. It's on a snake in their boot. That's right.
All righty, that brings us to public participation. There is a 2-minute limit. Dr. Willett, are you ready? With your clock.
Deliveries.
Is there?
All right, would anyone from the public like to comment at this time? Okay, seeing none, we can close that. Points of information, would anyone from the board like to speak at this time?
So Brian, I never went to find out if my daughter had your son, so I'll have to ask.
Yeah.
But Webb went off without a hitch. The two, and I'd have to look at my email, so I forget the educators that are running it. Mr. Lang, 7th grade ELA. He's running the program.
Chesno?
And Mrs. Bellman. Mrs. Bellman. They did a phenomenal job. They took my 8th grader and got her excited about coming to school for 3 days in the middle of the summer at 9, 8 a.m. When my husband dropped Mackenzie off on the Thursday, all the educators were outside, music playing. It was like Miss Guglietta all over again with music playing and dancing and welcoming. It's like how every day should be welcoming the students. So I just want to commend, and I know that they do it at the high school, so I don't want to minimize at the high school, but this is just what I've had direct experience with. I want to commend Mr. Lang and Mrs. Feldman for the program they put together, Ms. Hickey for obviously, supporting our staff for putting this together. The phenomenal, uniquely wonderful middle schoolers, the 6th, 7th, and 8th graders that participated and were part of the program. And I was like, what does WEB stand for? And it says where everybody belongs. And it's like little superhero shirts.
That's great.
And they're with those kids all school year. So kudos to the team. They gave them tools on how to handle different weird things that the 6th graders were doing. Like some of the quotes were laying, they won't stop touching each other. One of my kids just stabbed himself with a pencil. Why would he stab himself with a pencil? So there was like all these different things. So they taught these 8th graders how to kind of reroute. So building future leaders. So although there's different things that we're all here on the board to help make better and have our school system thrive and our town thrive. And there's always opportunities for improvement because we've gained and lost some things. This is a 100% a gain. And I commend Ms. Hickey, Mr. Lang, Ms. Bowman for a job well done. This is what we're here for. So kudos. Thank you.
Great, thank you for telling us about that. Anybody else? No? Okay, then I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Any discussion? Ooh, David,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
Dana. JP. Elaine, aye. Mackenzie.
Aye.
And I, we are adjourned. Thank you.